I'd like to welcome everybody out to our meeting, April 7th meeting tonight. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Appreciate you all coming out tonight. Starting up, is there a conflict of interest? Does any member have a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest with regards to any item on the agenda? If so, please state at this time. Mr. Nern?
No, sir.
Mr. Postle?
No, sir.
Mr. Hargrave?
No, sir.
Mr. Corbett?
No, sir.
No, sir.
All right. Thanks, sir. Moving on next, amendment and approval of the draft agenda. Guys, we need to add to 9.1. It's the fines and penalties on 72.99. That's the little add-on that you just added you. We'll get to that when we get there. Does any member of council have anything else that needs to be amended?
No, sir.
I do
Nope.
not.
No.
All right. If not, do I have a motion to approve the draft agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, general council discussions. Any member of council have anything?
I've got
Go
a
ahead.
couple things,
Mr.
Mayor.
Martin, go ahead.
I'm sure we're all keenly aware of the Calabash River Bridge and the fact that it's been closed for quite a while and has really disrupted our traffic patterns through the town. The fire chiefs and I attend monthly progress meetings with the contractor and the DOT, and we've been doing that since the get-go when the project started. It moved along pretty slowly. We have no input as a town into the progress on the work. It's between the DOT and the contractor. However, at our last two meetings, it was stated by the contractor that the May 1st traffic opening date should be able to be achieved, and he said that was their plan. I would have liked to have seen something a little more substantive, but they said that was their plan. I noticed today that they've already finished paving on the Sunset Beach side of the Calabash Bridge, and today they started paving with asphalt for the approach areas to the bridge on the Calabash side. So it looks like the May 1st date is doable. We'll all be looking forward to that. The Mike Posdell, Councilman Posdell, and I attended, along with Miss Anglin, our town administrator, a series of meetings last week with various consulting engineers to work on a corridor project study that would go from McDonald's down to Food Lion on Seaside Road. We call it the 904 corridor study. And it's something that we initiated here at the town some time ago, but I just want people to appreciate the fact that the town is in the DOT's ear weekly, if not daily, on the various projects or problem areas that we have around this town. And by having a study, we're going to have to spend some money on it, but it would be mostly paid for by the state. And by having a study, it gives us a significant leg up on the priority or the ranking, as we call it, of that being a project where they can improve, hopefully at some point in time, the three intersections involved there: McDonald's, the Georgetown Road 904 interchange, and then the interchange we have here by Food Lion, CVS, and Walgreens. So it is something that we're working on. There is another project that we're working on with the state, and we have put a proposal together to try to get some, it's not really grant money, but it's money that the state has for studies. We're looking at a multimodal path that would go from the new Calabash Town Park all the way down to our town park here on the mainland in Sunset Beach. It would be a multi-use path for bicycles, pedestrians, and it would really open up that whole area in there for our scenery, for walking, for jogging, and really open it up to our citizens. So that's another item that we're getting in the queue for and trying to get a higher ranking so that we can gain state funds when they become available. There's another study, this isn't in Sunset Beach, but there's a study for some what we loosely refer to as flip lanes at the Ocean Isle Beach roundabout, the one that is by the new car wash. It's where Beach Drive and 4 Mile Road come together, and Causeway Drive. And that would open up that roundabout so that people making right turns don't have to enter into the roundabout. They can circumnavigate it and keep on moving, because that is a trouble spot here in Brunswick County. The one last thing I have is that typically I am here on the Friday following our regular council meetings, which this is tonight, and I'm here from 10 in the morning till noon to meet one-on-one with citizens. I will not be doing it this Friday. We have budget meetings that start at 9, and they're probably going to go well into the early afternoon. So I will not be here this week. I don't know that I'm going to continue doing them. I've done it for the last 10 months, and I missed the last month because of some family healthcare issues. But people have stopped coming. And I know Miss Anglin has opened up Thursdays to have people come in and meet one-on-one with her. But there just doesn't seem to be, at least on my part, with people coming in to see me on Fridays. There's Fridays I'll be here for 2 hours, and I'm talking with Kim because nobody comes in. And I just would think that it's a way, instead of people banging on their keyboards and sending emails, that they come in and ask reasonable professional questions, and that we can have a conversation. But people have stopped coming in, so I don't know that I'm going to be devoting my Fridays to it, particularly with some personal things that have come up, that health care issues that I need to tend to. All right, Mayor, that's all.
Anything else?
Sorry for taking so long, folks.
Any other member of council? Go ahead, Mr. Nairn.
A couple things. I want to thank some of our administrative employees that Lisa has cross-trained them on each other's jobs, coming here during the day, and all three of them might be working on one thing that has to go out now. They work together very well. Cindy Stevenson, who is a finance technician and customer service rep. Kimberly Rigsby, deputy town clerk and administrative assistant. And she has done a great job updating our website. Thank you, Kimberly. And Suzanne Swinney, our HR director, has come up with a plan that we'll be discussing during budget for a job salary step program. We would hope to go away from across the board raises for everybody. Everybody will have a clear path of what they want to do if they want to be advanced, and follow it. If they choose not to, they don't have to. So, of course, this has all been done under the leadership of Lisa, our town administrator. You'll have no idea how hard they work in there. But anyway, that's it.
Any other member of council got anything? Go ahead,
I
Mike.
have a couple things, Mayor. Just a quick update on Brunswick County Shoreline Protection Committee that Mr. Corbett and I go to once a month, every other month. Discussions always revolve around beach communities along the Brunswick County shoreline. The Army Corps of Engineers, North Carolina Beach and Inlet Waterway Association, updates from towns is what we hear in these meetings and what's going on. And we can compare notes with other communities like ourselves, which gives us a great opportunity to share ideas. The news that we all wanted more information on was concerning our Carolina Long Bay wind energy project. That's a wind energy project out in the ocean, out in the probably about 24 to 27 miles from Sunset Beach. It's really off the coast of Bald Head Island. And the question is, will the new administration cancel that project, or will it continue? It was just in the beginning phases of permitting, and what's happened so far is the new administration is not targeting permitted wind projects. What it's doing, it's canceled a bunch of ones that just were awarded and not permitted. So we will continually look at this, keep an eye on this for you, and let you know what the future is as far as the Carolina Long Bay Wind Energy Project. John, anything to add to that?
No, nothing.
Okay. Second thing quickly is last Thursday I represented the town at what's called the Beach Ball. The Beach Ball is a yearly event in Sunset Beach, where really it occurs more closer to Ocean Isle. But it's a celebration of the achievements of the Ingram Planetarium in Sunset Beach and the Coastal Museum in Ocean Isle Beach. We as citizens in Sunset Beach should be very proud, I think, of the planetarium that we have in our town. It's really unique. We might not realize, but the planetarium brings in thousands of guests, both young and old, to our community each year. The planetarium, because of doing that, planetarium must constantly change and upgrade its exhibits and shows yearly to renew itself. In fact, the planetarium director, Jim Hughes, wanted me to carry back to town councilor a thank you for the continued support we show the planetarium, which last year made it possible for them to have a new successful exhibit. So I'd certainly encourage our citizens to, once again, check out the planetarium, bring your family and friends, and I think you'll be rewarded by a wonderful experience. So thank you. That's it.
Anyone else? Nothing? We'll move on then. Public hearings is where we'll be going into now. First public hearing on the text amendment for various legislative updates. Mr. Satterfield, once I open it, I'll let you give just a little briefing before we go. Do I have a motion to open up the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the floor is now open. If anybody would like to speak on this various legislative updates, the floor will be open, but I'll let you go ahead with your little oversight.
Thanks, Mayor. Can everyone hear me? Okay, what we have before you is in last 2024, the General Assembly adopted a myriad of planning legislation in their effort to do some planning reform, if you will. And I've reviewed all those, and there are 5 topics that we've identified that we believe we need to change our code to be compliant with this new legislation. Keep in mind, even if the code isn't amended, we still have to abide by these rules. So if we choose not to change our code, then we have to go to statutes to on these various topics. The first topic is on-premises advertising signs. The second one is subdivision performance guarantees. Third one is sidewalks for subdivisions that are in the town's extraterritorial planning jurisdiction. Fourth one is in regard to issuance of certificates of occupancy, things that we can hold up a CO for, things we cannot hold one up for. And the last one would be 3 and 4 family dwellings. They were added to the North Carolina Residential Building Code, and as a result, the town cannot put design standards on triplexes or quadruplexes. So the changes before you are to amend our code to be consistent with North Carolina General Assembly new laws they passed last year. It's been reviewed by our planning board. Planning board recommends approval. And Mayor, if you do vote on that tonight, we do need a consistency statement.
Yes, sir. All right. Floor is now open. If anybody would like to step up in regards to this, floor is open. Does any member of council have any questions about the thing here?
Ron, yes, just a quick question. In three of these, performance security, for example,
Yes,
in that one, we inspect buildings and get back their performance security, the money they put down, that kind of thing. We always do that. A lot of these are saying now that that the builder can get a certified engineer to say okay. And is that ignoring the town, or?
this is for subdivisions.
Yeah.
So it says, let's say new streets put in, or utilities, stormwater, et cetera. New street's a good example. New subdivision comes in, they put in a street. Town has 30 days to inspect that street to certify that it's compliant with the town specifications.
Mm-hmm.
The general statutes was changed to say, let's say the town says, hey, we don't believe that you comply with our rules. Statutes were changed to allow that developer to hire a professional engineer to certify that they believe it is consistent with our rules.
So it takes it out of our hands now for that final okay.
We're still
If the contractor wants to do it, it takes it out of our hands.
If they could hire, they could hire a professional engineer to certify that they believe it complies with our standards.
Go ahead. I'll let
As
Mayor go
as a
ahead.
professional engineer, I don't like this at all,
Neither do I.
but there's not anything we're going to be able to do about it. It is something that is allowed by statute. However, if a registered professional engineer is going to be willing to put his state stamp on that under threat of being disbarred and fined,
I understand that.
then we can look at that, what is done, and if we say, hold it, that is not compliance, we can fight that. So it does give us a choice, but it also, I think what the legislator is trying to do is simplify it for developers and property owners so that they can hire a registered professional engineer to do some engineeringmanship, if you will, to help them come up with the spirit of the ordinance.
So I may, and that's why I tried to preface at the beginning. These are things we have to do.
Yes. I
And so
understand
my
that.
job was
I
to
understand
find
that.
out in our code, where does it fit?
Mhm.
And the language that you see outside of it would say like local government. I put in the town, but the language you see is pretty much word for word of what was in the statute.
Mhm. To me, I know we have to approve it. I understand that. But to me, it's just a big step in the favor of developers and giving them one other way to get an okay. And
Yes.
I liked when our town inspected and the decisions our town made, and I thought our town did a great job with inspecting, but now they can take a step and go over us and do it another way. And
They could, and we plan to continue inspecting.
Oh, yes,
We'll still
I
ask,
agree with that.
streets is the good example. We're still going to ask for that core sample from the asphalt company to review to make sure that it's compliant with the town specifications / Department of Transportation. We're going to make sure sidewalks are installed, utilities are installed, et cetera, before we finalize that subdivision.
Okay. Yeah, I'm nothing against, I know
understand.
you had to do that, but it just seems like it's unbalanced here a little bit. And
No, it's a great question, particularly for the public to hear.
it makes more work for us if we want to challenge what they do or what they
And we have the right to challenge
Yes.
it, and it speaks for itself.
Yeah.
We can bring in our own engineer, and then we get dueling banjos, but
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
get the point across.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron.
I've got some housekeeping things here I wanted to run by Ron, and I apologize, I didn't have the chance to.
Yeah, nobody else wants to, in regards to this, come to the podium. In regards to this right here, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Most
It's come to my attention. My name is Carol Kissel, and so I'm interested in.
Where do you live?
I live on 1407 North Shore Drive on the island, and I'm interested in this because I don't know what the appeal process is. If there is an appeal process, if there's an issue with both parties, the developer engineering and then the city, at odds with it, is there an appeal process, and what is that for citizens? That's my question.
All right, I'm gonna close if nobody else wants to speak, I'm gonna close it, then they can address what they were gonna do with your stuff. So if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, any more discussion? Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Do you want to answer that appeal question, Ron? I don't know the answer to it unless
Sure.
Grady does it.
And I'm not going to profess that I may be 100% right on my answer. But as I read the statutes, if we say someone has not installed that street to standards, they have the ability to hire an engineer to say that and certify that it was to our standards. If we still say no, my guess is the developer could appeal it to our Board of Adjustment or appeal it even to the court system.
On the new wording that we have here, this would be on packet page 6, or
6.
5.1.
Sure.
It's in red. Under number J1, and this is new wording. I might submit that we add the word the last word in 1 is erected, and I think originally erected might make that clearer, because what we're discussing here is that there's an existing sign. They want to either relocate it or change it, but as long as they stay within the existing sign standards, at the time that the sign was originally built, they're free to do that. They don't have to follow the new ordinances. I don't know what you think, if the word originally would need to be put in there or not, Ron.
It's was not in the statute, but I think it still would meet the intent if you add the word originally.
Okay.
Originally was not in the statute, but I think that was their intent, was someone put a sign.
Because they have to follow the previous ordinance, not the ordinance that's at the time that they want to relocate the sign. And to me, that wasn't clear.
I don't think the word would impact any.
Okay,
intent.
okay. Well, I'll leave that up to your discretion. It's just it's a suggestion. Can you explain, give us some background on how this is under 4.11 pedestrian facilities, and we're talking about sidewalks in the ETJ for subdivisions containing 20 individual lots or less in the ETJ. And this is F that we have on page 10 in its new wording. Is 20 a number that came out of the statutes?
It's out of statutes.
Okay. What if there were 21 homes in the ETJ? Would this not then apply?
We could at that point, if it's 20, more than 20,
Yes.
the town could require sidewalks, as I interpret this.
Would we then be responsible to maintain those sidewalks in the future?
Not as I understand the statutes.
Okay. And the reason we took it out at 20 was we really didn't want to have to maintain those sidewalks.
Right, but the 20 was that was the number that the Department of Transportation put in the statute.
Okay.
So this language is pretty much word for word from the statute.
Okay, and I'm certainly not going to fight the statute. I'm sure that they beat that to death with all our tax dollars. So you've explained that to me as to where that comes from.
All right. There's nothing else. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, do we have to
We
read
have to read the
statement?
Read the statement. You want to go ahead, Pete?
For the UDO text amendment, and the town council summary, A, the town council hereby approves the proposed amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance and finds that it is neither I, consistent nor inconsistent with the town's comprehensive plan, 2017 Town of Sunset Beach Land Use Plan, but the proposed amendments are needed to bring the town's UDO in compliance with the North Carolina general statutes, and 2, that it is in the public interest.
All right. Do I have a motion to approve this?
Make a motion.
All right.
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up, 5.2, public hearing, UDO text amendment, filling, grading, and excavation. Mr. Satterfield again. We'll open the public hearing and then let you give a little briefing.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to open this public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Go ahead and give a little briefing, please, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. The proposal before you tonight is to amend the filling and grading requirements for properties that are being developed. Think of infill development on the mainland. The proposal is not to change the standards on the island, but is strictly to change the standards on the mainland. Someone wants to build on a lot on the island. There's 4 different situations which the code addresses, whether the 2 lots adjacent to it are vacant, whether they're both built, whether there's one is built and one is vacant, or does the street elevation. On the mainland, however, it just references one standard, and the standard it references is assuming both properties adjacent to this infill lot are developed. And that has created some issues and concerns, particularly as some of our golf course developments are being developed. You see the hills and the sand traps and so forth. It also wouldn't mean that if you got 3 vacant lots sitting side by side and the one in the middle wants to develop first, it's got to assume that the 2 properties beside it are vacant, or developed, but in which they're not. So it's creates some difficulty from a permitting perspective on that. So the proposal is to amend the standards on the island to read such as, for lots on the mainland, for lots on the mainland, filling, grading, and excavation shall maintain existing natural drainage patterns such that additional flows are not directed or redirected onto adjoining properties. In addition, lots shall be graded to direct stormwater runoff away from the building on the property. And then at the time of submittal, design professional preparing the site plan, such as a professional engineer, would certify that the filling, grading, and excavation complies with these requirements and all the requirements of the county. I worked with one of the planning board members 2 months at least. Planning board talked about this at a minimum of 2 of their meetings and ultimately voted on it to recommend approval. And if you do take action, whether for or against, we do need a consistency statement.
Floor is open if anyone would like to speak in regards to this. If not, does any member of council have anything?
No, not until the hearing's closed.
Do I have a motion to close this hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now, go ahead.
Question for Ron.
Sure.
We have other ordinances that deal with runoff coming from residential lots. And it has to do with the way that the stormwater plan in that specific area has been engineered. We have 2 different situations where we have some of our newer subdivisions have curbs and gutter where the water is being directed into a stormwater, underground stormwater system, into stormwater detention ponds. And we have other areas within our town where we do not have curb and gutter, so the water is retained on properties, if you will.
Mhm.
Would either of those be impacted by this?
I don't believe so. The engineer designed the project. He's going to look at it and say, okay, this plan, let's use the curb and gutter example that has a master stormwater plan.
Yes.
They're going to look at it and say that this lot, when they submit for permits, this lot is designed to bring that water to the sidewalk or to the curb, whatever it is, in a manner that's consistent with this code and consistent with the state and the county.
And you've achieved that by the last
By
sentence
the
there that
last
says all requirements of Brunswick County.
Yes.
Okay, I have no further questions then.
Anyone else?
And it does say clearly in here that it's graded in such a way that it doesn't have the water run off to the adjacent properties. 'Cause
Yes.
we have some issues with that in some of our neighborhoods.
Right. I was talking
Okay.
about the water going to the street or
Yeah,
not to the
yeah,
street.
but we
but
also,
it's-
in addition, it's going to the addition.
And that's a good point, council member. We're trying to put some responsibility on the design professional, and provide some flexibility like we do with the residential stormwater management plans, but also tighten up our code at the same time. So provide some flexibility, but it makes things, we believe, more clear and what the expectation is.
Agree.
Ron, you feel this is a much better system than we've had in the past? This change is a good change for us.
Time will only tell, but we do believe so.
Okay.
We've not used it yet because obviously you haven't voted on it, but in my conversation
that's right.
with the civil engineer who was on the planning board, he felt like this was a good change.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, what's the pleasure? For it or against it? Read the.
I make a motion that we adopt the amendment as stated here, and I'm looking for and that for the consistency statement,
14, page 14.
I got it. The town council hereby approves the proposed amendment to the Unified Development Code ordinance and finds that it is neither inconsistent nor inconsistent with the town's comprehensive plan. That's the 2017 Town of Sunset Land Use Plan. And there are no specific policies pertaining to filling, grading, or excavation of lots on the mainland. And that that it is in the public interest.
That's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on. Next public hearing, accessory structures on through lots. Do I have a motion to go into open set or go into
Public.
public hearing on this regards?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Floor is open, but Mr. Ron, go ahead and give your briefing.
Sure, and I might spend a minute longer on this one because it's the first time you've seen it, and we are asking you to go ahead and hold a public hearing on it. So town finds a through lot. These are lots that has other than a corner lot with frontage on more than one street. So it has a street in front of it and a street in the back. That's what a through lot is. We have over the years, issued permits for people to have a swimming pool or accessory structure or a fence on the back side of the home, but still between the house and a street. Our code would imply that the through lots has 2 front yards. And there are certain things, accessory structures as an example, we don't allow in the front yard. And so the intent of this ordinance is to clarify, to continue that practice, but put something in the code that would actually allow someone who happens to be on a through street to be able to have their home, a swimming pool, a storage shed, a fence if they choose to, but under certain parameters. So we have proposed to redefine the through lot, and we have also proposed to change certain sections of our code. As an example, under accessory structures, on a through lot, accessory structures may be located on the rear side of the lot that shall be subject to the principal structure rear setback for the district in which is located. So if your house has to be 25 feet typically off of as a rear setback, the accessory structure would still have to be 25 feet. Again, the code would currently require that house to be built, apply that front setback on both streets. So maybe 50 feet, 25 feet, depending on what the zoning district is. But over the years, there have been many permits issued for this situation. And I felt like my review of it, I was struggling. I have 2 applications in right now that if this is approved tonight, then we could issue permits tomorrow on, that I cannot connect the dots on how to approve those. So that's why you had this before you, is to try to create clear standards moving forward on what those requirements are, should the town be accepting this. This was reviewed by the planning board at its last meeting, and they do recommend approval. And as the other 2 items, if you do choose to take action for or against, we will need a consistency statement read.
Yes. Floor is open. Would anybody like to speak in regards to this matter? Yes, sir.
Council, my name is Brian Addis. One of the pending permits. Live at 9125 Ocean Harbor Golf Club Road. I just wanted to publicly thank Mr. Statterfield and the planning board for, I guess, not agreeing, but coming to a consensus where there was some confusion. He
We're trying
took
to
the
work
time.
with the issue.
Yep. So didn't want to take much time, but I just want to publicly thank him and the board for the favorable, and hopefully the council sees that too. Thank you.
Thanks for bringing it to
Thank
our
you.
attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Ron, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
If you're on a through street,
Can't do it.
oh, I'm sorry.
Got anybody else?
Yep.
Anyone else? Yes, sir. Come
In
on
the
up.
back.
Mayor, Council. My name is Brian Sullivan. I live at 340 Sea Trail Drive, Sunset Beach. The only reason I want to speak to this is I have some experience with through lots and rear and front setbacks. Zoning wise, those through lots have been zoned to where there is a front. So it means the front door, the mailbox, and everything else is on one of those streets. What's on the back side can be driveways, it can be anything else. And the setback for that should be specific to the rear of a property, not anything to do with the front. So if indeed that backside road goes along a block, and let's say there's a row of houses, each one of those houses would have a front on the other side. So if you're going to set up a setback and say it's 25 feet to where nothing can be within that 25-foot setback, inclusive of the fence, I think that's punitive. And I think you need to have some sort of variance procedure to allow for a privacy fence, a swimming pool, a garage, or something within that rear area, and amend the setbacks for the rear area. Just my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. If not, do I have a motion to close this?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
The gentleman just asked the question I was going to answer
Okay.
as to if all the houses are in a row, and there's front, either one side could be front, shouldn't they all be on one side, on one particular street? He just explained
All
it.
right. Is there any more?
I have a question. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't particularly understand exactly what the comment was from Mr. Sullivan and the implication. You know, I'm not an engineer and I don't know the codes and stuff like that. But does Is there room for a variance in this ordinance that we have? And
Adjustment.
if there, is there flexibility and the concerns that Mr. Sullivan had, are they addressed inside this, the amendment that we have?
I'll answer the variance piece first. The variance is, anyone can apply for a variance, can go to a board of adjustment. Just keep in mind in North Carolina, if there's discretionary language in a code, it needs to be done in a quasi-judicial, quote unquote, a court-like manner. That is what our board of adjustment is for. So if you wanted staff to have flexibility to provide some relief in the code, then we would need to have clear objective standards of what that relief should be. So when we wrote the rule, and I hope this addresses Mr. Sullivan's question, first is there is a board of adjustment for that review, that relief. The second one is by code, the current code says the house would have to meet the 2 front setbacks. So if it's 50 feet along a particular road, that house has to be 50 feet off the first road and 50 foot off the back road. This standard would allow the accessory structure and a swimming pool and the fence to be whatever the typical rear setback would be in the situation. So I think it kind of addresses what he is saying. Not the house itself does it, but the accessory structure, the swimming pool, or the fence could be as close as whatever the minimum rear setback is for that.
Perhaps I misunderstood what you were saying about the setback being the same for the accessory structure in the rear
Gotcha.
as it is for the front. So if there is a second setback.
This is out of
to
order.
the rear of the property,
This is out of order.
Well,
Go.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. We got it said now, so, I mean, you
I
know.
think I can address it too.
He's gonna address it.
I've served on the Board of Adjustment, and the whole reason for the Board of Adjustment, just like Ron just alluded to, they have legal authority to provide variances to individual property owners. And what the Board of Adjustment rules are is that you go to your neighbors that would be directly involved in have to look at what you want a variance on, and they can speak during that hearing. But it's an excellent way to deal with very unique situations that always occur, so that you're looking at a site-specific situation or issue under the Board of Adjustment. And I think it shows in the past that it's been a very equalizing method for people to voice and get some relief from a variance. I'm going to pair off of something that Mike, the Councilman Posdel, just said. We're talking in here, Ron, for the definition of this is 7-point run rules of measurement, and we have lot comma through. We have lot comma through front. And we have lot comma through rear, which we're adding those last two. This may be or sound silly, but once somebody has established their front, in other words, they've established a street address, because each street's going to have a different name. Can they change that? And if what would be the means of them changing it? Could they totally step aside around the town and just go to the post office and say, "Hey, I want to change my address"? And the post office might allow them to do it without realizing the ramifications. And they already have a swimming pool on one side of the house, which would be grandfathered in then, because they now go change their address.
No, I don't get involved with the addressing as much, but it's my understanding they have to come through the town process to get approval for an address, and then the town is working with Brunswick County and a 911 and so forth on that as well.
Okay, all right, thank you. My question's been answered.
okay.
Ron, I'm playing off that a little bit now. If I have the first house on the street or the through street, do I choose what side my address will be located on? The number of my house will be, or is that assigned to me? Is Brunswick County assigned that, or
It's assigned by the town, but there are very few through lots in town.
there's only 3 or 4?
Yeah,
There's not.
You're looking at the Ocean Harbor
We've
Golf
got a couple
Club
in the
Road
sanctuary.
area.
So
Sanctuary.
So once I establish my front, somebody builds next door. Do they have to have the same front, or can they have a different front?
Along Ocean Harbor, at least my
Okay.
understanding is the majority of those have to be built along Ocean Harbor. That's through a neighborhood covenant,
Neighborhood.
deed restriction.
But other than that, I can.
Sanctuary is another area, and they're dictating,
Or
the
sanctuary.
developers dictating that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's maybe a lot or two on the island that I'm familiar with.
You got the east end.
There's one on the east end, yeah, a
Yeah,
couple on the
Canal
east end of the
Main,
island,
yeah.
yes.
I have a question.
Okay.
In here, it says the fences are limited to 4 feet in height. Is that sufficiently high to be put around the swimming pool?
Yes, sir. 4 foot's the
Okay.
minimum, and it is also consistent with our street side for a corner lot, where it says 4 foot in height
Okay.
and shall be at a minimum 35% of transparent.
And the thing I like is that it's an open, 35% open area, which
Yeah.
means you're not creating like a stockade look that somebody else has to then view. It's more open.
Go ahead, Mr. Aaron. I see you want to speak.
Ron? If one house backs up to another, what is the rear setback?
Depends on the zone.
Depending on what the zoning district is, but you talking about there's 2 lots beside it, like one lot behind another lot.
Yes.
I mean, some instances our rear setback is 25 feet, and other instances 5 feet. Depends on what the zoning district is. So in those cases, both houses, and first of all, these rules wouldn't apply because they're not a through lot, but in both of those cases, the houses would be 25 feet off each property line. So the houses would have a minimum separation of 50 feet or 10 feet or whatever that minimum setback is.
No, just seems like if you have a through lot, you'd have the same setback as everyone else.
That is an option for the town. Trying to go with what, to me, it was clear that the town had created a front setback for the primary structure for a long time, going back to at least the code that I'll have access to. So I was trying to create standards, provide the flexibility to address this and allow this, but also maintain some integrity of what the code, what I believe the town's vision was.
Thank you.
I got a motion and a second. That was your discussion. There's no more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now, what's the pleasure of council in regards to this one?
I'm going to make a motion.
If
I'll make a motion to adopt the attached proposed UDO text amendment clarifying development standards for swimming pools, accessory structures, fenced and walls on through lots. And to read the town council summary, the town council hereby approves the proposed amendment of the United Development Ordinance and finds that it is neither consistent nor inconsistent with the town's comprehensive plan, 2017, Town of Sunset Beach Land Use Plan, as there are no specific policies pertaining to through lot development standards for accessory structures, swimming pools, fences, and walls, and I, that it is in the public interest.
I have a second.
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on next, this is public hearing consideration, UDO text amendment for political signs. Go ahead, Mr. Satterfield.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, in a nutshell, this proposal is to revert your political sign requirements to what they were previously, and not to allow political signs to be posted within the rights of way of town-maintained streets.
Can I ask a
No.
question,
Yeah, go-
Mayor?
Sure, go
Ron?
ahead. Go ahead.
Ron, why, we had 3 public hearings already tonight, and this one, we're just going to schedule a public hearing. Why didn't we just have a public hearing on this? Does it have something to do with the decision of the planning board leading up to this, or?
It was. The decision of the planning board was to deny this text amendment. So we felt like it would be better for you all to discuss this before you schedule a public hearing and then hold it.
Thanks for that
If you so
clarification.
choose.
And that's respectful. I agree with that. Thank you.
Does anyone have any more things to say? If not, we can schedule this public hearing at the end. We can put it into our disposition of directives.
Do we have to vote on that? Yeah. I make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the May 5th meeting to consider this amendment.
Do I have a second? Second. Any more questions? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Ron, thank you. I think that's it. If you'd like to leave,
I
you're
will.
welcome to
Thank you.
go.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks.
We're going to be moving on to our public comments on agenda items only. I'll give him just 1 second to get out. If anyone would like to speak, you'll be welcome to come up on anything that's on the agenda. Give him just 1 second to get his stuff together, please. No, you're fine. When you come up, please remember respectfully, about 3 minutes is the timer. Please state your name and address for the council, and we'll move through. Just 1 second, let him get up, and then you can start it up, ma'am. Thank you, Ron. Yes, sir. You can come on to the podium, ma'am. 1 second, I'll start you up, okay? Thank you. All right, you're welcome to go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. Good evening, council members and attendees. My name is Ann Proctor, and I live on Waterway Drive here in the town, Sunset Beach.
Where
I
was
didn't
that?
get that address.
712 Waterway Drive.
Okay, Waterway. Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm here this evening to address the parking in Sunset Beach on the island, particularly as it relates to Main Street and the removal of previously available parking spaces. We have been restricted to approximately, my understanding is 180 spots, which is completely inadequate to serve not only vacationers, but Sunset Beach residents as well. From my understanding, the previously allowed parking along the street has been removed, correct me if I'm wrong, because the North Carolina Department of Transportation has certain requirements that must be met in order to allow the town to charge for parking. Our street side parking does not meet said requirements, therefore you have had to prohibit parking along the streets. If your intent is to make changes to the infrastructure along Main Street to meet the North Carolina DOT parking space requirements, then my suggestion is to complete this work before charging for parking. We need to go back to free parking so that North Carolina DOT cannot require certain infrastructure from us. At which time the infrastructure is in place, I am certainly amenable to you revisiting paid parking. In fact, I'd already bought my $25 season pass and have since canceled it, because I don't think I'm ever going to be able to use it on the island. But until this, I, along with many other residents, implore you to make the necessary changes today that will allow us to go to the beach, park our vehicles, and enjoy a day with friends and family, or simply taking the highly therapeutic walks down the beach that we all enjoy. We can't do that if we can't park. Did you even consider the negative impact this will have on small businesses on the island, especially the grill at the pier? It is also my understanding that at least 3 of the 5 council members live in Sea Trail, which provides them with their own parking on the island, and 1 lives on the island, so this inconvenience does not impact them. As a permanent resident of Sunset Beach, I expect the town council members to do a better job accommodating us and giving back our access to our lovely beach. This summer, not the next. The 3 council members that implemented the paid parking regime are up for re-election this year. If you don't want to be re-elected to the town council, this is a solid plan. If you do, then you have made a fatal miscalculation. There is a right way to do this and a wrong way to do this. This is the wrong way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, please hold your applause, please, to the end or something, if you will. Let's get them, because let's make sure everybody gets a chance to speak. Would anybody like to speak? I'm gonna go. Come on. I'll get you next, ma'am. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry.
I am Lori Thomas Vass of 620 Kingfisher Lane, Sunset Beach, North Carolina. Your recent action to prohibit public parking under Ordinance Section 72.06 in road right-of-ways along Sunset Beach reverses years of free parking of citizens to gain access to the beach. Eliminating right-of-way parking services serves no public purpose, but the right-of-way policy used in conjunction with your rule of parking only in designated paid parking spots acts as a coercive measure to force citizens to pay $5 per hour, which is way too much money for most middle class and working class citizens. Citizens in North Carolina have a constitutional right to access the public trust lands of Sunset Beach. And your combination of parking in designated spots and removing right-of-way parking acts to deprive citizens of their rights. Since most of you are northern transplants without the benefit of education of North Carolina's history and our heritage of liberty of our citizens, I begin with a simple public political principle that you can understand. All legitimate authority is derived from the consent of the governed, and to the extent that political authority is not derived from the consent of the governed, that authority is illegitimate and constitutes tyranny. You do not have consent of the governed to implement your decisions regarding to prohibit parking. Your policy reverses a long history of parking in the right-of-ways, requires a vote of the citizens. The citizens of North Carolina placed this idea into our state constitution, and for your benefit, I quote Section 2, Sovereignty of the People. All political power is vested in and derived from the people. All government of right originates from the people and founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. I assert to you that a native North Carolina resident, elected representative, would never have transgressed our rights to freely access our beach. You came into our state and our community, and you've usurped your authority by violating our rights. I assert that you are no longer worthy of being an elected representative because you have violated the trust of our North Carolina citizens.
Thank you. That's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, ma'am. Like I told you to come on, so come on.
Lenora Kirpichnikova, 1023 Sawfish Drive. I was pleased to hear that our planetarium brings a lot of visitors to our city. And I believe tourists bring money, right? And they benefit our economy. So since I come from academic and business background, I would like to hear the numbers and your thought process why you implemented paid parking, because it does deter local visitors and it does not contribute to our economy, because if we have less tourists, the local business will suffer, will have less and less money coming to our country, right? You also mentioned that you support local developers and you support them with, all kind of regulations. So what is the reason, if you don't want to have more people coming to our city, why do you support new developments? As a resident, as a part of this community, I would like to see the goal, the numbers, the reasons, and the how this paid parking will benefit to our community. Because as for now, I see everyone is very, very annoyed and disappointed, including myself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Yes, ma'am. Come on.
My name is Carol Kissel again at 1407 North Shore Drive. I agree with all the speakers tonight who have talked about the poor planning of the parking program that you have deployed. A couple of points I would like to make because I don't want to reiterate them. I was here last year participating in the hearings and in the town halls talking about parking. You had maps all over the walls. I came 2 or 3 times. I wrote a letter on March 3rd to you, Mr. Hargrave. I never really got a response. I know you're busy, but it would be nice to acknowledge that citizens are heard. You talked about being here on Fridays. You want to be acknowledged, right? I understand that. We want to be acknowledged when we're not heard. Now, a year later, you've deployed this program prematurely, I would say, And what's happened is a couple of things. One is on the east end of the island where I am. Over the last week, the weather has been beautiful. There is actually, and I walk the beach on 13th Street all the way down to the end. There literally is no one on that end of the beach because they can't get there. There's parking on 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th Street. And there's no parking 13th on beyond. Now you have 3 spaces that are on the end by Palm Cove, but those generally are reserved, or not reserved, but generally there's fishermen there that come to fish, in the afternoon. So it's been a problem for the residents. And I know you're dealing with it now because of North Carolina and the issues you've had with the state. But really, at the end of the day, none of you have done the due diligence that should have been done in this program before you executed it. I'm a business executive. I've run the largest transit company in the United States, the Metro. I was the deputy general manager there. I was the treasurer of Amtrak. I understand engineering. I understand about multimodal transportation. You have not done your planning. And because of that, I urge you to cease and desist the parking program until you can get it right. And when you can get it right, you might have people behind you. And that's a much better way for the community to be. And that's my comment. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Anybody else is, I'll go ahead, I'll yield to you, go ahead.
John Hopkins, Sunset Beach Trading Company. I was told by my wife to keep it short. I don't like talking up here, but I seem to always get up here. One thing that I'm limiting my comments to what's on the agenda tonight, since that's what this part is supposed to be for. Regarding the Fifth Street parking that you're looking to eliminate or to not allow currently. Fifth Streets are 50, I believe they're 50-foot wide right-of-ways. I have friends who live on Fifth Street. I have friends who are for the parking on Fifth Street. I have friends who are against parking on Fifth Street. Fifth Streets. They're 50-foot right-of-ways. The end of West Main Street, where you've just put parking spots, is a 60-foot wide parcel of land, which is called a right-of-way now. In that 60-foot right-of-way, you've put 16-foot, 9-inch long perpendicular parking places. So really, the turnaround for a fire truck is now less than 40 feet, I'm guessing, probably around 30 feet. But you want to not allow parking on the Fifth Streets that would be parallel parking on a plenty wide enough right-of-way. And you don't have to have parallel parking at the terminus at the end of the canal, at the end of each Fifth Street, where a fire truck, if they can turn around at the end of 40th Street and Main Street, they can definitely turn around on Fifth Street, doing multiple turns and everything if there's no parking in that area. But you could have parallel parking up and down the Fifth Streets. So, out of threat of my friends being angry at me on Fifth Streets, I just putting it out there.
This is being recorded,
pros
Jimmy,
and cons, being recorded. SunsetBeachTC.com. Check us out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Anyone else on agenda items? Okay, sir. Yes,
If I can
sir.
get up here without these pants falling off of me, I've lost too much weight.
Careful.
You guys have trimmed me up. I'm Marcus Daniel Stanlin in Brunswick County and have projects over here at Bonaparte Landing.
Where do you live, sir?
I live in Wilmington at this time.
Do you have a local address here? Because we can.
Yes,
note it for the
sir,
record.
and I have the address here too. But anyway, there's a
Will you state your address for them? They won't write that.
1840 Beach Drive, Southwest Calabash has been for 60 years at Bonaparte Landing.
Thank you.
Anyway, we have a very unusual situation about that property that's going on. And I have had a bout for 2 years, no fault to you guys, for 2 years with some thieves stealing and selling my property at $1,275,000. And I can tell you it's on the internet and you can see it for yourself. And the people are going to be prosecuted. This is the second time around that I have gone through. The first time with Daniel Adam Rooks, the felon who did this, was prosecuted by our former DA in some projects over with in Columbus County having to do with a trailer park and stuff. Daniel Adam Rooks is a notorious criminal, and he cost me $29,000 the first time. He fabricated and I'm gonna get right to our point because this is just background. We've got to hurry up with this.
It's just tied in the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
So for your understanding, I'm here and I got Secretary of State William Toole, who is personally working on this and with me, Miss Elaine Marshall. She helped me in 2006 when they did this, and they fabricated a Sealand of OIB, Ocean Isle Beach, LLC. Put it on record in the Register of Deeds. Unbeknown to me, I was not noticed in the courts. Then the attorney went up there to the Secretary of State, and Miss Elaine Marshall, she figured it right out. So we're having to deal with the same situation. Now, here is why I am really talking to you. It's because I'm working with our county, and our county knows that my project is going to be between I'm not bragging about this. It just turns out this way. It's going to be about 700 to 800 million just in certain phases of it. And we're talking about high risers. We're talking about probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 unbelievable restaurants at Bonaparte Landing. And we're talking about a marina that is larger than anything probably, maybe from a mileage standpoint, anything in this nation, because we're talking about all the way the possibility from Ocean Isle at the inlet up there and coming all the way down and going all the way to Cherry Grove. It's about 25 miles, and it's going to be portable docks involved. And the intercoastal waterway, for you folks is understanding and closing here, is that was yielded to the federal government to have right of way. We didn't sell the property, so the right of way to the property there and the dredge and all that came through the Stanleys. Another thing you people don't know, in closing real quickly, my father purchased Ball Beach over here, so I am and founder of this town here, and we love it, and so we got to close real quickly.
Yes.
The boundary line agreement that we need, because the fact is that when Linda Flugel was involved, she absolutely come into the newspapers and stated, we're out of the water and sewer business, we're out of the electric business, send all your stuff to there, and she has put this nice town in limbo ever since. So the truth of the matter is, there's never been an annexation legitimate that has had to do with Sunset Beach coming. Now, here's what I believe.
We got tied off for everybody else, sir.
All right.
3 minutes is up. So.
Well, I was going to tell you that my dredging company would do.
You can come back at the end and speak at the end.
We'll
get here
tonight?
There's another 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
I'll do it. Let's do it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Very good.
Anyone else?
And that doesn't have to be an agenda item.
Yeah, it can be whatever. Anyone else would like to speak in regards to agenda items? Yes, ma'am. Come on.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, I would like to iterate what Councilman Nern said about the staff.
We state
Oh,
your name.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Christy
Just
Batchelor.
Move the mic towards you.
Okay.
There you go.
Christy Batchelor, 428 27th Street. Would like to reiterate what Councilman Nern said about the staff working very hard, as well as the council. I will say, as y'all all know, I've had lots of questions, particularly about parking, and y'all have all been very accommodating in answering those questions. So I would like to thank y'all for that, because I know this is very time involved for each of you. But I'm here tonight. As y'all know, I've not been for the paid parking, and we won't digress there because y'all all are well aware of my thoughts on that. So what I'm here tonight to address is the 9-1 text amendment, chapter 72 parking that was discussed at the last special meeting regarding no overnight parking. It has been midnight to 6 a.m. for no overnight parking for as long as I know. And I would like to ask y'all to consider keeping it that way. The reason is there are many people now that live on the island. This is our home, our permanent home. This is our neighborhood. And it's not a vacation destination for us. It's our home. So
and it was recommended at the special meeting, possibly doing no parking from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. only. I just want people to realize that there are pluses and minuses to living on the island. People can come with a car, a van, a camper. There are all walks of life that come to the beach, which is great. But from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., really from midnight to 6 a.m., those are hours that you would like to not have people on your property. You would like to be able to sleep. When people come off the beach or having their fun, which I'm all for having fun, but, golf carts beep when they back up. People are opening and closing doors and trunks, hauling stuff around. They're blaring music. They're screaming at each other. Often they're drunk. So I ask you to please consider that for people that do live on the island, in the summer months, as you can imagine with vacationers, it's easy to say, call the police or do that. I don't want to have to do that, but often we are up middle of the night with people partying, having a good time, which I understand people are on vacation, but at some point you do have to know this is our home. So I ask you to keep the parking from midnight to 6 a.m. time frame for no parking, please. Also, something that's happened since the auto parking has started is it seems that the island residents now, many are either getting a ticket or being said they'll get a ticket if they didn't run outside and see somebody in their yard. They're getting tickets for parking in their driveway. Some are for pulling straight in, and some are for pulling, I guess what you would call parallel parking, but their yards were designed that way to have parking in the front of their yard. Some just have a single 10-minute and then like that. So I guess I would like you to consider, auto is going around writing tickets like crazy on all the streets right now. We're being singled out as island property owners, and we're being targeted for this. No one else in the town is having to deal with this. So I would like you to, I know I'm out of time, I'd like you to consider that, because it's kind of not gone as planned even for some of the areas, because they seem to get incentives, is what I've been told by some of them, for writing more tickets. So just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
Anyone else on agenda items? Yes, sir.
My name is Bob Belk. I'm at 1210 Canal Drive. I'm just here to voice a few concerns that I've got. I walk the island regularly. I was.
Would you pull the microphone up? Thank you.
How about that? Perfect. I was doing it today in the beautiful park on 40th Street, which basically is no longer there because of parking. There was 4 parking places there 6 months ago. Now there's 14. I stood down there today for 30 minutes and watched 3 people almost get run over, 2 wrecks because of they can't see backing out of that closeness down there. It's so tight. That place is not built for 14 or 16 parking places. It's a beautiful view. I'm sure all of you have been there. Why do we continue to put these parking places to accommodate people that have absolutely nothing to do with the residents of this island? Sitting on my porch this morning, I watched as they laid those concrete blocks coming up the street. I watched 2 people have to get off the road because they were walking to get over in the side lane, and they tripped. And unfortunately, one of them fell. Now, that's going to happen. If you continue to put those barriers out in front of for parking places, I don't care where they are, it's going to happen. And y'all made a comment a while ago. You were doing something to build trails and that type of thing. Why don't we have trails on the side of the road. Because if people go out to take a walk, where are they walking? In the road. Now that those concrete barriers are there, you have to watch everywhere you go. So they're going to have to do something. Why do you continue to do that? I'm totally against this paid parking. I'm totally against changes that you've made to the beauty of this island. And it's all about money. And that's all y'all care about. I'm sorry. I'll be straightforward. It's all you care about. I've heard comments. They're going to put 400 parking places here, 200 parking places here. Why do we need more people coming from off the island onto our island when it's already at its capacity? But yet these places continue to pop up. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Come on, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
My name's Jeff Lanham. I live at 417 2nd Street.
Jeff, what? Last name, please?
Lanham,
Thank you.
Lanham, 417 2nd Street. And Mr. Phillip, first, I want to thank you. I wrote you email one evening, I don't know, kind of probably 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and you responded within 30 minutes, which I thought was very professional. I just wanted to thank you and acknowledge that in front of everyone. I'm standing here and just want to make a couple of comments. I'm not really going to kind of address the paid parking or not. I'll leave that for more people to discuss. I will say that paid parking this is probably one of the few places on the planet where you would not have, or that paid parking is kind of not in places, someplace. When you go to any other beach location, paid parking is kind of a given. What I'm more concerned with is kind of some of the gymnastics I'm seeing about trying to create additional parking spaces. As I go down, I look at like 7th through 12th streets. On one street, and it's on 9th Street, I believe, where they're actually on probably the setback on their house. There's actually now there's 2 parking spaces where the gentleman can't even get into his driveway because of the parking spaces that have been created. And I'm like, from a fairness standpoint, people have purchased that lot, they paid their taxes, and now their egress to their property is not even available to them. And I just think that's fundamentally, when you look at something, it's like you always try to do the next right thing. I don't know who that person who lives there, but I'd be blowing a head gasket if that was my property. He can't even get in his driveway. It's just not right. I hear other things about changing parking, going one way on 1st through 3rd Street and this type of stuff. We are doing gymnastics to create parking spaces, and it's not comfortable for the people living here. I certainly didn't buy a lot to sit on my front porch and look at a parking lot. The parking already, 1st through 5th Street, it's like a raceway coming down these streets. They're unpaved, it kicks up dust, and there are people that are just looking for a parking spot, and I understand that. But the truth is, when the parking is done, when the parking spots are filled, then they need to make other arrangements. Sometimes there's certainly more capacity of people that are coming into the area with all the developers and all the building that's going on. You just can't continue to create and make parking spaces up and down every road. It's the people that live here also have rights, and they bought property for specific reasons, and it was not to look at a parking lot. The variances and the easements in the front of our houses should not be used for parking. That's not what an easement's for. And for the easement to be taken over or annexed to be making money for us, and it goes to the tax burden, I understand that. But to take an easement and to turn it into a profitable option for the city is just not what an easement's for. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you, and thank you for responding to me timely.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
May want to dip that mic just a little bit. There you go. Yeah.
So I kind of agree with everybody.
Will you state your name and address
Yes,
for them?
Kathy Clark, 181 Lighthouse Cove Loop, Calabash. Been coming here for 50 years, moved here. My brother lived on the island. My mother lived in Sea Trail, blah, blah, blah. So I moved here, and I love the beach. It's the best place in the world. But I'm okay with paid parking as long as you have enough spots. Because I'm not going to pay $175 and finally the road is open and I have that beautiful drive to the beach once the bridge is open next month. But I'm not even going to drive because I'm not going to go to the beach and pay $175 not to park. It's insane. Secondly, when did the season change from Memorial Day to Labor Day, from that to April 1st to October 31st? Give me a break. Why did it change? That's my question, and I would love an answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? You have just at the end, but you have to go at the end because you only get one. Once you can go at
The end of the meeting.
Yeah, at the
It
end
means-
of the meeting. Okay. Anybody else?
Same.
It has to be at the end.
At the end?
We'll have another public comment. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. At the very end, we have another.
Right, let me know.
It's okay, sir. All right. Anybody else? If not, we'll move on. Thank you all. Next up will be our consent agenda. The 2025-37 Department Head Presentation Meeting. The 2025-37 Special Meeting. The 2025-314 Special Meeting. The monthly report from the police. The monthly report for February from the fire. Monthly report for February from the Public Works. I hate this new agenda, Kimberly. Let me tell you one more time. The building inspection monthly report from February. Can't get used to this. The monthly report from the finance from February, and the monthly report from code enforcement project supervisor for February. Does any member of council have any questions in regards to any of these items here?
I have a number of questions, but
Go
I'm
ahead.
going to speak directly to the department heads about them.
You gonna bring them up?
I'm not going to
here or
bring them
not?
up here.
Okay.
It's not going to be at the meeting.
Okay. Does any other members have anything?
I also have a couple, but I'll
Okay.
just save it.
I got one because I won't see him because I'm working every day. But Richard, is he still here? Is he here? Will you get him? Yeah, I just want to ask him a question right quick. And we'll vote. You got anything, Pete? Hey, buddy. One question, because I've been bombarded with this. I just wanted to ask you
Yes,
why
sir.
I'd see you.
Yes, sir.
The new area that's finished now, the park thing.
Yes, sir.
What is the plan of turning your fire truck there if you're coming out of the fire station one?
So Dustin's been working on that for us, and we're going to create a plan of attack probably later this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all gonna be able to do something now instead of having to
I
go
think
around
so.
the world?
I think
Okay.
so.
That's what I want to know.
I think so. But
Thank
I'll
you, sir.
report back definitely.
Okay, just let the people know so we'll notice. Well, I've had a bunch of questions about that curve.
Yeah.
Were you able to make that there, especially with that new restaurant coming and all down there?
Mhm,
You know, we're
mhm.
gonna be able to get in there safely.
Dustin's already made some changes with the
Okay.
stop sign and
Great.
stuff, but we'll get back to you later this
Great.
week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While he was here, could I ask a question?
Not till the end. I'm sorry. Or you can catch him outside. If there's nothing else, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Moving on next, town administrator report. Ms. England, you got the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. And if you will excuse all the department heads.
Yes, any department head that doesn't have anything left other than chief is good to go.
Dave.
All right, go ahead, Ms. England.
Just a few things for you tonight. As Councilman Larkin stated earlier, the town will hold a budget meeting on Friday, April the 11th at 9 a.m. here in the council chambers. We do have a budget suggestion form that's on the town website, and we encourage citizens to make suggestions for council consideration during those meetings. The tree board met today for their first meeting. They selected their chair and their vice chair. Their next meeting will be May 21st at 8:30 a.m. And as they get started with projects and activities, they will be looking for volunteers. So just watch them on YouTube and keep up with their page on the website as they come on board with their projects and activities. The Run Sunset Beach event is planned for Saturday, April 12th. That is a large event that comes to our area. The race begins and ends at the town park, and we are reminding motorists to be mindful of the runners on the mainland and the island. And I'm going to ask Chief Claymore if he'll come to give a little more information about that event.
Thank you, Mrs. Anglin. We've worked closely with the folks that put the race on. I'm drawing a blank of their names. Coastal Race Productions.
Jonna and
Coastal Race Productions.
David.
Jonna and David Hutnick. And so this is not our first go around, and each year we try to do it better than the last. And we work closely to make sure that there is as minimal disruption to anybody that's out traveling first thing in the morning. You will see a quick bridge closure in the morning as the mass of runners cross the bridge at the same time. There's just no way we can single file them down into one lane. Once they get to the island, there's a 5K and a 10K, which will take different amounts of time depending upon the runners. And when they come back, they'll be on one side of the bridge. We'll have a lane that's open to keep traffic going back and forth throughout the day as the marathoners work their way through the town, down Georgetown, back up Seaside Road. They'll be in a single file on the side of the road, but you'll see runners on the roads upwards of probably 11 to 11:30 in the morning. But it won't have any disruption to traffic at that point because they'll be so spread out.
About what time do you estimate the bridge will be closed?
Right around 7 o'clock in the morning,
7
just
o'clock?
after 7 a.m., yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief. Continuing on, GFL is now operating on the summer schedule for garbage and recycling pickup on the island. Garbage will be collected weekly on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and recycling will be collected weekly on Saturdays. We received 5 firms that submitted RFQs for the eastern channel of Jinks Creek Realignment Project. Staff is currently reviewing the submittals in advance of scheduling interviews with some or all of the firms. Our 3 projects that we have going now, the Majestic Oak Park, the engineers are working on the construction plans and preparing the CAMA major permit application in advance of scheduling scoping meetings with the agencies. The parking reconfiguration and roadway redesign at the town park on the mainland is 99% complete. The only items that remain now are the stormwater collection swell, the landscaping beds, and the irrigation. The stormwater program plan project that the council approved last month between 27th and 30th, the contractor is expected to begin working on Monday, and he will start on the North Shore Drive west end of 29th Street. Motorists are requested to avoid that area if possible. And the last thing I have for you is that, as Councilman Larkin stated, I do have weekly allotment between 1 and 3 to meet with any public that would like to come and ask questions or get information from me. I have started having a few visitors, which is great, and I encourage more. That's all I got.
Question. The stormwater project, about how long do you expect that to last?
Better part of 6 to 8 weeks.
Lisa?
Yes,
one
sir.
Foot, and I asked you over the weekend to come up with exactly what it's cost so far for parking. And you've worked on it. Could you go over it for me?
Sure. These are estimates, pretty good estimates, but still estimates. I did not pull actual invoices. I went to the people that are in charge of those things and got the figures from them. So the cost of the curb stops, the signage, the gravel that we have put in between the curb stops, all the items that were needed, such as the rebar and nails and bolts and all that fun stuff. Total, well, including the West End parking lot down on 40th Street, was $20,788 for the restriping of that. There was no additional charge for the redo of the contractor's slight error. Let's see what else is on your list, Mike. So the signs, the curb stops are $22,560. The signage that is both for Surf Connect and the town for Main Street and all the town roads, $14,807. So we're looking at right now, we're sitting at about $78,385 roughly for where we are now. And then your last question of the cost of the survey or for Main Street by the engineering firm, we have this project on an hourly basis with the engineering firm, and that ranges from $250 to $85 per hour, depending on what professional is being used.
As far as staff time,
Staff time totaled $8,970 and is included in that 78,000 figure.
okay.
So
And in December, I'm sorry, Councilman Corbett, in December, I did give you all some cost estimates at that time. And at that time, the estimate, I believe I provided in the December, either the December 2nd or the 10th meeting, was $125,000. So we are under that figure.
Now, we do have more to go.
And we do have a stockpile, so I do not think there'll be any additional other than payroll.
Just to anticipate the question that will come up at some point in time, how long is it going to take to, what kind of rate of return are we going to get? How long would this be before it's paid off?
I haven't run revenue numbers. Councilman Hargraves may be able to speak to that closer than I can, but I can report for next month.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It'll be more accurate than me talking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for
thing?
me?
Anybody else? Not, moving on, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Moving on now to our old business. Text Amendment, Chapter 72, parking. Mr. Hargraves, you got this one. Go ahead.
How did I get this?
I don't know. You're lucky.
Parking 72.27 overnight parking is what we want to look at here. That's what Christie talked about, and that's the thing that we need to set tonight. Now, and Ken, if you want to, anytime you want to jump up or you want to get up here, you certainly can. You are certainly the expert on much of this and the person who we need to listen to on a lot of this stuff. So let's look now. Let's start with 72.207, right where it says no overnight parking, and then what's crossed out there in town-owned parking lots. And I would like to make a suggestion that we change this to no overnight parking and leave in town-owned parking lots, not ban it from town-owned parking lots. So no overnight parking in town-owned parking.
Doesn't it say that in the next sentence?
Yes, it does. You're absolutely right. But that was crossed out. And that's we wanted. If you want to say that, or do you want to just go into the next sentence and that's a part of 7207? That's fine with me also. If you just go ahead, John.
You're saying to keep the part in red, so that's part of the subject line of 72.27.
Yeah, but Peter's saying is it's the next line.
And I'd submit the next line is clearer, because the next line does talk about, if you change it, if you keep it in the heading, then this whole thing has to do with, can only deal with town-owned parking lots. But the next sentence says in any town-owned or town-controlled parking area, because we are talking about parking in the right-of-way, which is not a town-owned parking lot.
That's I agree with that.
It's not a parking lot.
That's
it's a town-controlled right-of-way.
Yeah. So just leave it as no overnight parking. That's the subject of that paragraph.
Well, I'm not trying to cut Mike off.
No, don't disagree.
That's what
don't disagree.
he's trying to do.
I'm trying to get input from you guys and what you saw in this and what you thought. And so that we'll read then no overnight parking. There shall be no public parking in any town-owned or town-controlled parking area. But then now in blue was or in designated on-street parking spaces. Is that something now we want to take out of there, because later on it talks about parking in designated on-street parking places, and that's something that we had currently do we want to change that?
Are you asking for
My-
input?
Do you want to discuss
Yes.
this?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
My view,
Thank you,
if I may.
Mayor,
yes,
you should be
yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. My view is that we want to remove the no parking in designated parking areas. And the idea is we have paid parking from 9 to 5, but we still have lots of people, lots of the residents, the visitors who are in Sunset Beach that will continue to use the right-of-way parking in the designated areas. And I think we should leave that, we should take that part out. So we're just talking about no parking, no public parking in town-owned or town-controlled areas between the hours of. And we've got 12 and 6. I'm comfortable with 12 and 6. I'd be comfortable also between 12 and 5, but I don't think any shorter duration in the middle of the night would be appropriate.
I'm going to agree with Mr. Corbett, but I would like to say between 12 and 4, 12 and 5. I think that's more of a reasonable time so that people are not allowed to sit there all night long. I think it's something that Christy said is important.
Yeah.
If I lived there, I'd be, why is that car parked out in front of my house for, overnight? However, I'm going to disagree with Councilman Corbett about or in designated on-street parking spaces. I think that to me is key to the whole verse here. But I agree with him on the time.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we shouldn't allow people to park overnight on
Between 12 a.m. and let's say 4 a.m. Because
Sunrise.
I'm sure there's some fishermen that want to get up and park there at 5 a.m. and then go
Yeah.
for some reason, or somebody that wants to walk on the beach.
Watch the sun.
Yes. But I think between 12 and say 4 a.m. would satisfy me.
Okay.
Yeah.
But to leave everything else the way it is.
I kind of like 5.
We're deliberating up here.
Yeah. I'm personally, what I did is I checked when leave it to me, I checked when the Turtle Patrol goes out. And for the people going to Bird Island, they come out about 5:30 and start heading to Bird Island. So it certainly 5 a.m., 12 to 5 is fine with me. I could accept 12 to 4, but 12 to 5 is the one that.
I'm not going to follow my sword for now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. But Peter, you did take exception with John said about taking out or in designated on-street parking places.
If I lived on Canal or on Main Street or on 7th, I want to know who's parked out there. That to me would be important.
Well, the other side of it is the people who own the houses, live in the houses, rent the houses, have visitors coming to the houses, are greatly constrained by not being able to park in front of their house in the evening time. And stacking, they often have more cars stacked in the driveway. And so what this does, it takes the inconvenience off of the people who live there. We have paid parking during the day. After the paid parking is over from 5 p.m. until 9 a.m., the people who live there can park their cars out in front of their house or whatever in the right-of-ways, which are the designated parking spots. And so it's for a main comment that I have heard is that it's for the
John,
convenience of the people who live there and the visitors there. Particularly, you have a lot of the houses where they have the renters come in with large groups of people. Frequently, they have more cars than fit comfortably in the driveway. And so at the nighttime, they can park outside the driveway.
And what do they do during the day?
Stack them in real tight, so that, or go elsewhere.
I think you've proved my point. But
I mean, that's.
If I have a party at my house, I make an arrangements with my neighbors to park in their driveway. If I go to your house on the island, you have made arrangements with your neighbors and said, "Can I park 3 cars in your driveway?" And you do that. Yes.
But I mean, even as somebody who lives on the island, there are frequently a number of times that I have house guests that come in and stand there. And once you pack 4 cars into the driveway, you have to play shuffle. Actually, in my driveway, you have to play shuffle cars if you have more than 3 to move them out. And using the street side parking in the evening time is part of the convenience of living there.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Chief, would you comment on that now? You've had the history in the past, we've allowed the parking on the streets
On the
overnight.
in the right of ways.
In the right of ways, yes. In the right of ways, yes.
I understand everybody's concerns, and I understand the property owners that are concerned about noise and concerned about timing when people come on and off the beach. And yes, a golf cart or a LSV that goes backwards makes a screeching high-pitched noise like nails across a chalkboard. But to Mr. Corbett's point, if I'm a renter, I'm not going to go ask the person next door if I can park 3 cars in his driveway. If I'm a renter and I have people coming from all over, we're going to do a large family reunion and we have 10 cars in a driveway that can accommodate 6 at best. It would be nice that I don't have to bring the rest of those cars to the mainland to try to find a place to put them, because there is no overnight parking allowed anywhere else on the island. It would be nice to be able to park them in the right of way in front of my house. What happens at 9 o'clock? Well, I either move it or I pay. If I pay to park for the day, I'm good till 5. And then after 5, I can stay there until 9 the next day and contribute another $25 to stay there the rest of the day. As for the times, my original suggestion was 2 to 4. I still think that works, but if the council does not feel that way, I would be more in favor of a midnight to 4 versus a midnight to 5, simply because people want to get up early. They want to enjoy the sunrise. And there's a lot of people that are early risers. So my opinion is that the right-of-way parking should be allowed overnight. And I also believe that the parking on the short streets on 9, 10, 11 also should be allowed overnight.
So parking in the right of way you think should be allowed overnight?
I do. Yeah. I mean, there's currently a limited number of places to park. So when people want to come to the beach to watch the sunset, or they want to go out for a late night stroll on the beach, they want to be as close as they can when they make that journey to the beach. Sunset Beach is safe, but at the same time, people may not feel comfortable walking all the way from Canal to the beach in the dark.
I hear you. Let me ask you a question, or let me make a comment and see what your impression is of it. Again, I feel if I live there, I am uncomfortable with the car being out there overnight. I can certainly agree with the midnight to 4 a.m. that the chief is supporting. I could support that. If I have a house and I have 10 cars out there, I wonder where everybody's sleeping, but that's not for me to be making that decision. But if you're having a party, that's a little different because there's room on the decks. But if the people have to leave by midnight, I think that could be construed as a good thing. And if they can't come back until 4, I think that could be construed as a good thing. But anyway, just my 2 cents worth.
As far as somebody being uncomfortable with a vehicle parked in the right of way in front of their home,
please.
The only place that it would be new would be 9, 10, and 11. All the other streets have enjoyed overnight parking in the right of way until this point that it's potentially in limbo.
Good point.
Yeah. That's a very good point. Maybe a new homeowner would say, where's that car coming from? But for the rest of the longtime homeowners, they're accustomed to vehicles being in the right of way all the time.
So are we in agreement then with the chief that will cross out or undesignated on-street parking spaces and change the hours from 12 a.m. to 4 a.m.?
I could deal with that.
I'm good.
So we're striking the blue area or in designated on-street parking spaces. I think the chief brought up a very good point about people are used to maybe some cars being out there.
Yeah.
Let's see what he says now. Go ahead.
And if that's the direction, Councilman Hargrave's original comment of striking The red that says in town owned parking lots, that's what we're reverting back to, is only prohibiting overnight parking in town owned parking lots. Am I correct? So that could remain.
Oh, the red could now remain.
It could remain.
Ah.
I mean, unless if at some point there will be overnight parking elsewhere. It's just one other thing you'd have to strike later.
I don't know.
Just a thought. Thanks.
So that goes along with what you were talking about, John. That we'd allow parking on the streets overnight. And the time would be 12 to 4. Is that everybody agree with that?
We
Make a motion.
Everybody good? Well, there's other things.
There's other things here.
Oh.
We got to. All right. So we've got that far now. And then it goes down where it says recommendations from Police Chief Claymore on proposed amendments. Allow parking the right of way overnight. Whoops, forgot about this one. Sorry. This includes but not limited to the next line down. Parking lots located at the beach parks, the beach gazebo, 40th Street parking area, and along Sunset Boulevard South. Any questions on that?
That just identifies the town-owned or town-controlled parking
Parking
areas.
lot, yes.
So you're saying there's a difference between the 40th and Main Street parking area and right-of-way parking? I mean, there's people that live there too.
Yes.
Yes, that's what it's saying. Yes, that's what it's saying.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, do we leave that in, take it out? Do we consider that? Well, we consider that right-of-way parking, can't we? So.
Yeah. That's not right
Yeah.
away.
Yeah. Comments on that?
That's a town-owned space all the way.
Yes, it is.
Not just right away.
Okay. Okay. All right. You got that right.
Then you have the next
And
statement.
Town-owned vehicles and on-duty town employees are exempt from this regulation. Exempt. Any comment on that?
No, that's
No
a
problem
given.
with that.
No, I have no problem with that either. Michael, you okay?
Fine.
Charlie? Okay. All right. Then we go down to recommendations from Chief Claymore. Allow parking in the right-of-way overnight, and that's what we've been just talking about, in any street where parking permitted townwide. Overnight parking on short streets, definition of overnight should be amended to, we've changed that. We're all okay with that, I believe.
I'm okay with the 12 to 4.
12 to 4, yes. Add specific language to 72.15 to temporarily allow certain marked vehicles to park in the right-of-ways on Main Street to read as follows. And that the next part down there,
That's going to a different.
yeah, that's going to the end of 72.15, which is on the next page in red.
Yeah. So we finished with 7227.
It looks like we finished with 7227.
Do we have individual votes on these sections?
Do you want to just vote on 7207 to 7227?
Yeah.
Want to vote on that? Mr.
What's the pleasure?
You go ahead, Mr. Mayor.
What's your pleasure?
I make a motion that we accept 72.27 as we have amended.
I will
Second.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm opposed.
You're
I'm a no.
opposed? Okay.
Okay.
I'm a no. I can't.
That's okay. Thank you.
I just can't have a car out there all night.
Okay.
All right.
Now, 72.15 now, prohibited at all times on certain streets. And it says, when signs are erected, and this is what we should just stick with probably, when signs are placed, erected, or installed, giving notice thereof, or when curbing has been painted yellow. Now, that's the question. We don't do that anymore, or do we have that anywhere in the town?
Anywhere on the island?
Anywhere on the island? Curbs park, is that an old statement that might be 20 years old and we don't do that anymore? Okay,
Well,
okay.
fire lanes are painted red
Yeah.
generally.
Do we need,
we
should
don't
we
have
keep
fire
that
lanes.
in there or should we take that out? That's the question. And it says curbing has been painted yellow in lieu of the signs. So,
I guess you take it out. Take out the yellow.
okay. So then read when signs are placed, erected, or installed, given notice thereof. Then you jump down to no person shall park a vehicle at any time upon any of the following designated streets.
Designated street right-of-ways.
And designated should probably be another thing taken out of there.
Well, I think it's
The following streets.
It's talking about streets.
But you're not trying to deal with the streets, you're trying to deal with the right-of-ways, because you can't park in the street to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But this would imply that if you don't want them parking in the right-of-ways, you need to say right-of-way, you don't need to say street.
Yeah, it should be.
All right. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Makes sense?
I'm going to vote against it, but
Any of the
right-of-ways
right-of-ways on the following streets.
Yes. Any of the following right-of-ways.
No, right-of-ways on the following streets.
Yes, on the following streets. Okay. That's good. Are we okay with that? Oh, you're jumping up before I asked you? No,
If I may.
Sure. Yes,
Please do.
If we remove street, there's nothing to prohibit somebody from parking on the street. So if we say street and or right of way, that would be clear to serve the purpose that we don't want parking anywhere on that street.
So
because we have no prohibition against parking on a street,
Really?
so long as it doesn't impede the flow of traffic.
Ah.
Okay.
Okay.
Say what? Wait a minute.
So what should the wording be again, Chief? Go ahead.
Play that back for him,
He
Chief.
has to say streets and right-of-ways.
Streets and
Streets
or
and
or.
and or.
Okay, streets and or right-of-ways. Okay.
Following streets.
And or right-of-ways.
Okay.
Glad you're here. Thank you. And there's a list of streets there. Now, this is another one that's, when you get to the red part on
Well,
page. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask the chief, the 200, I understand what you're doing with the 200 foot. You're talking about from the Sunset Inn going north towards the mainland, but you're still on the island. You don't want parking within 200 foot of the North Shore Drive east and west. So from North Shore Drive east and west, you're going 200 foot towards the bridge.
Towards the bridge.
Saying there's no parking.
Yes.
Does that mean that if I'm 210 feet from North Shore Drive on the north side that I can park on the causeway?
That's current language. Those aren't my recommendations.
Oh, I see. Okay. I thought,
My recommendations are in red.
I thought this was yours.
That's current language.
Does anybody have a problem with that?
Well, once you get about 200 feet down,
You're gonna.
there's no place to park because you fall into the water if you get off the
Yeah, you'll be
causeway,
in the marsh
off the
at
right
200
of
feet.
way.
I don't know that, but that I could buy that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right. All right. I just wanted to know where the 200 foot came from.
Sure.
All right. Chief, stay up there for this next one.
I'll stay.
Where are we?
This is in red now.
So we're saying clearly here there's no parking on the island fish streets of marlin, sailfish, dolphin, and cobia.
Yeah, and that's what we've passed. That doesn't mean in the future we can't change that, but that's what's passed currently. Yes. Who are you looking for?
I was looking at John.
Where are we
You're
now?
looking
The
for John.
exempt?
Okay. Now, the following shall be exempt from section 72.15.
So are the fish streets remaining?
Fish streets are remaining at this time. There's a lot that can be open eventually, but right this time, these are the streets that are remaining. Is everybody okay with that? Okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Now in red now, the following shall be exempt from section 72.15, and that's emergency or government vehicles.
Is this the chief's wording? Or is it
No,
your
I don't
wording?
think it is. Is it, Chief?
In red.
In red? I don't think that's your.
Is that what I sent? It's in red. It wasn't in red when I sent it. It is, but
it is. Okay.
I've got edits to that already too, so we'll go ahead and read
Okay.
those because
Okay.
I've got some correction. or
Public
not
and private
corrections,
utility
edits.
vehicles, temporary parking of delivery trucks, moving vans, service vehicles, and similar vehicles that are clearly marked, which deliver or pick up goods or services, and commercial vehicles that are clearly marked and engaging in the construction, remodeling, landscaping, repair, or in service to the property owner or tenant. Now, you have some changes to that?
I do. So number D, as worded, would limit it to a commercial vehicle. So if I own Ken's Construction and I hire you as my subcontractors, you're not going to have Ken's Construction commercial vehicle. You're going to show up in your own vehicle to do subcontract work for me.
With no signage on it.
Likely not. So, this is tough with the balance of not allowing parking on Main Street, but yet allowing people that have to make a living a place to park. I think it's unreasonable to ask someone to go to North Shore Drive to get lumber to bring it back to Main Street to construct a home.
Agree with that. Yeah.
But how do we enforce this? How do we regulate it? Literally, while I'm sitting here in the meeting, somebody sent a message through Facebook asking about purchasing a magnetic sign for their car. I didn't read the entire message, but that question's been asked of me. How do we regulate it? How do we manage it? Where do we draw the line? I know that some permits have been issued recently for different things that aren't going to require signage on the side of the vehicle, which is going to mean when the citizens are walking or driving down Main Street and they see these unmarked vehicles that have a placard that was issued to them that's in the dashboard, they're not going to see it. They're going to see an unmarked personal vehicle in the right of way. And we're taking the brunt of a lot of this because they hear parking and parking enforcement, they automatically assume police.
Yeah.
One of the comments we got was, rules for me, but not for thee. And that's the perception that this is giving. I don't know what the best answer is, but like I said, people need to make a living. One of the suggestions or a comment that was given to me when I was trying to think my way through this today was, one of our officers had something familiar in a jurisdiction where he worked, where a contractor would come in and get a permit from the town, and they would apply for X number of spaces, no more than 3. At where he was from, they paid for those spots. So should paid parking be a thing on Main Street? Contractor comes in, pays for 3 spots, says I need them Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We mark off those spaces for their people, and they're already paid for, so they can park in those spaces. So we know that it's coming. We know that they're able to park there, and it's clearly marked. Now, where the jurisdiction this officer was from, they had meters, so they'd bag the meters. We can't do that.
Yeah.
But we got plenty of cones.
Yeah.
and that's just, I don't even know if that would work.
They part of it I like in that, well, I'll just hit the part I don't like. If we have a contractor come in and we're requiring him to pay for parking, it's not going to be the contractor who pays for parking. It's going to be the property owner who needs the contracting work to be done. And so that's not what we're looking for. But with the part when you talked about the permit, I would say a great many of the people should have a couple of things that we can do. We don't necessarily have to get permits, but any major project requires a permit. And so in our inspecting department where they come in and get the permits, we can have a form filled out or give them a form that they can use, something they can put in the window for their vehicles that are not marked. Usually the vehicles that are not marked are either like the subcontractors or just the working crew. When you're putting up a house, you got 10 guys out there working, and they're all coming in their own cars and that. And so a means to identify that they are working on that project, whether it sticks up in the front of the windshield, a card or something like that.
But you need to limit it to, they can park someplace else and carpool in too. Each guy doesn't have to drive their own car.
There's stuff like that. But that's where we have to have a degree of flexibility not to prevent the workers from coming in and not to have the property owners or the people who need the work done being charged for it. And I think
when you're getting a major renovation done, you need a staging area for the materials, so that takes up some of the
driveway.
parking directly in front of the house.
Yeah.
What I did today is I called Jim Varner. He obviously works with Oak Island, he works with Holden Beach, and he works in Ocean Isle. But the experiences he had with Oak Island and Holden Beach have been what he likes for his people. He likes clearly marked vehicles. That's all he's looking for. If they're clearly marked with magnetic signs on the side, a regular sign on the side of the vehicles, he has absolutely no problem with making sure they're, parked correctly in the right of ways and not issuing tickets.
But everybody's not a big company.
Yeah.
Everybody uses different guys. It's like me in the roofing business.
Yeah.
I may
understand.
have 3 cars come to a crew because they're coming from different areas. Well, I mean, you got this guy.
And
I
they're
can't
they're
give
not
him
marked.
magnetics. If I do, then my rates go up. I mean,
Oh,
you got to
absolutely. I
put it all
Yeah.
there.
I understand.
Common sense is the biggest thing that's got to be used. I mean, if you pull up and they paint the house and there's 4 cars there, you can pretty much tell who the painters are. They're going to be paint on the cars. Or there's going to be nails in them roofing trucks. I promise you.
What Jim also said was what you're addressing now. When you have to hire laborers like you do, they have to come in their own vehicles. Just what he has his people also do is look on the dashboards.
Yeah.
And if you just put a note in there, your company
Or
or
your
something.
company card or anything
Company,
like that. But
yeah.
as far as
Correct.
wrap vehicles
Yeah.
or requiring those others, that's not a good idea.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm
Because
saying.
there's a lot of small contractors around here that I know people call me all the time, need somebody to do electrical work. Well, they may come in a little white truck, but that don't mean their
That's
truck
right.
not marked up.
But what Jim is
We need to
saying,
help
you
them
could
for our
write up on a sheet of paper, throw it in your dashboard. They look in the dashboards too. Jim has his people look in the dashboards, try to find any way to make sure that vehicle's marked and clearly marked the best you can do it. And I saw the other day, I went down Main Street and 2 trucks were there, not marked at all, but hanging from their rear view mirrors were little pieces of paper with stuff on. And they were in the right of way, but they were never ticketed, to the best of my knowledge. So,
Well, when we talked to the cabana vendors, the story was put something on your dashboard or on the side window of the driver's side, which should be parked in the same direction as traffic, so that somebody, when they come by, they see it.
Yeah.
And I think something like that, even if it's a permit that, if you wish, building department issues, maybe for an X period of time, but just something to put in a sign that says authorized for this address, they're working on it. But I don't think you can expect anybody to be putting on a magnetic plates on their car.
This is only dealing with Main Street.
Correct.
Because it's F.
Well,
this needs to deal with the whole
Well,
island where there's parking.
it's not just Main Street that has that problem.
Right.
Just the whole island.
This is
has a
talking about just Main Street, though. When you look at 72.15F, it's Main Street temporary.
Yep.
One of the things that I guess
Well, wait a
we're
minute.
kind of at a
no, that's
No.
that's temporary because Main Street's closed temporarily.
no, but this is section 72.15F as in Frank.
He's right. The exemption applies to F.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see what you're talking
So
about.
if
The
that's-
72.15F.
And even if Main Street opens up, you're not going to find that it's going to be, both sides are going to be able to have.
Well,
park
it's
somebody.
any place there's parking.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
designated.
So-
One of the let's.
So the
let me-
following vehicles shall be exempt. And stop right there.
Yeah.
Would that be
Yeah,
correct? Chief?
yes, it's within 72.15, so yes, I would say.
Well, it has to be above. It has to be.
Mentioned the
It
72.
can't be
Well,
confused with
72.15.
the names of the streets. It needs to be its own thing, like H. One of the things where it says B here, public and private utility vehicles, isn't it really utility service vehicles? I don't know what the definition of a utility vehicle is, except for the official definition.
Well, my thinking there with utility was
Public utility, Boundary County.
Can we just
focus
call it
focus broadband, somebody who deals with that sort
utilities,
of
okay.
utilities,
Yeah.
not
Well,
necessarily a
I
per
think
se
the word
utility.
service is really should be added to it at least. They're providing a service to the homeowner. They're not.
Just public and private service vehicles.
And when we talk about temporary parking for delivery trucks, obviously we mean during the action of delivery.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's.
Is that self
That's-
obvious?
I think
I
that's.
think I'd accept
yeah, I
that
think
as
so.
obvious.
I think so. The other thing I asked Jim Varner was, all right, so we put something like this in. How do we advertise it to the government vehicles? How we advertise it to public and private utilities, and especially the temporary parking delivery trucks and commercial vehicles?
I think the mayor's right, though, and most of it is going to be for people having work done that require a permit anyway, and it's the support staff for that small contractor. If Focus Broadband is coming to your house,
they're
they've
coming
got a
in, they're
truck.
trucks.
If it's BEMC, if it's, you know, if it's
And
one-offs, they've got a truck that says it's obvious.
he told me about one of the beaches, one of the 3 beaches I talked about. What they simply do is in the permitting process, the contractor will receive a sheet from the town explaining all this about parking and what they need to do and how they need to park their, you know, the extra people, the guys working for you on the roof and so on like that, how they should be either with a clearly marked vehicle, but here's how to do it. Do it in one of these 5 ways or something like that. That's one way of doing it. The other way, which obviously they put something on their website also, and they really explain it in the permitted part of the website. They explain what exactly you have to do with the people working for you, how their vehicles should be clearly marked. So, and he said it's worked very well for that beach. Very well for that beach.
Are you saying then we just need to make sure that Carrie knows about this?
Well, yeah, we'd have to see. Yeah.
And that Cindy hands them something?
Something.
Like the rules of engagement?
Yeah. And I think that's worked very well on one of the islands. He said.
What do you think?
So do we really need the word commercial in there? I mean, just vehicles.
I think it accomplishes, right? If you remove commercial, it
Remove commercial, put vehicles, clearly marked, engaging in the construction, remodeling, surface repair, et cetera, service to a property owner. That kind of covers it.
Okay. Is that clear now? Is that cleared up? Mary, you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Any comments from anybody else?
But we are going to renumber 72.15.
Yeah, this has to be all redone. There's a lot of change.
So we're not going to vote?
So just table that to the next meeting.
Yeah. Should we table it? We could vote
Well,
on it.
we've got the stuff. We can.
We got the changes.
We can
just
make
have
the
to
change. We can make
Yeah,
the changes.
we could make the
Call it
changes.
out as amended then. What's the
You got
pleasure
all
of
this,
council?
don't you?
I make a motion that we adopt the municipal code updates for chapter 72 and parking as amended.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more questions, comments, responses? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None?
I'm going to take a break.
Okay. All right. Moving on to new business.
Mayor, what I wanted to do at this time, now I can do it the
No,
next
this-
meeting.
we still have
Wait a minute, we still
72.99.
got some old business because the part that she handed out at the end, we
okay.
got to address that. So
Okay.
Go ahead with it.
Let's do it.
Let's just wait 1 second. Let these people, I think they're coming
that's
around.
fine. That's fine.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
What
Go ahead.
what I was going to do at this point was give sort of an update.
No. We still have
We got a new thing.
70.99.
Right here. This one that Kimberly handed. me.
Oh, the Kimberly one.
Mayor,
Okay.
you want me to do it, Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Run it for
Go
him.
ahead.
We have discussed this and beat it to death.
Yes.
But under 72.99 fines and penalties, we did not have a line item for no parking, cars, trucks parked in a space designated for a low-speed vehicle, golf cart, or motorcycle. In other words, if an automobile that is not a low-speed vehicle or a motorcycle parks in a spot designated for a golf cart or a motorcycle, they get a $50 ticket. And we did not have a line item for that, but we have one to vote on now.
And there's another one to be added also here. It's down at the bottom of just one above special violations. It says parked in excess of 1 hour in the designated business parking area between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. daily.
Where'd that come from?
That's been something we've been pushing.
No, I mean, it's not on mine.
John's on his way
No, I
back,
just wrote
y'all.
it in. I just wrote I just,
He took his mic. He had his mic on. 1 second, let John come back. He had his mic on. Alan needs to get that straight.
what did he say?
No. Oh, hold on, please. He'll be embarrassed. Your mic was on, John.
Your mic was on.
Where did this come from?
When you're getting old, things like that happen. Sorry.
Hey. All right, go ahead.
Okay, this is the addition. Okay, I'll read it. Park in excess of 1 hour in the designated business parking area between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. This came from the chief a while ago, this recommendation. And we had put it in, but then it didn't get added. So just adding it now. Okay.
And that's something that Jim Varner is going to police?
Between the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., he does police.
Okay, but he's also going to go to the, I didn't think he was going to look at the 1 hour business parking only spots.
Yes, he is.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good
Yes, he is.
clarification.
No question.
Thank you.
No question. Okay. And he will keep track of those and tickets will be issued.
I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a motion that under 7299, that the two items that we discussed for 1 hour, 1 hour business parking and no parking cars in low-speed vehicle spots be added to the paid parking violation sheet.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next up. That's all on that. So now we'll be moving to the new business. Appointment to the Board of Adjustment. What is the pleasure of the council in regards to this?
Mayor, can
Go
I
ahead.
address
Yes,
this?
sir. Go
I
ahead.
need to address it with Ms. Anglin. Under background, we talk about the Board of Adjustment has 2 open seats. One ETJ alternate position has been vacant. I believe it should read one ETJ position has been vacant for some time. We already have somebody on the Board of Adjustment that is the alternate. And I think that word is misplaced here, because the alternate can be either from the ETJ or one of the 5 people that is a member that lives in the municipality. And it's to say that an ETJ alternate position has been vacant for some time is really not true. An ETJ position has been vacant for some time.
I don't have the UDO in front of me, so I didn't cover that
I beat it to
language.
death last night.
Okay.
Did you look at the UDO? Do you
Yes.
know that's what that
Yes,
is?
I know
Fine.
it's what it says. And I just like to have that word alternate struck from here. It's a good word, but it's misplaced here. So,
Does
and
council agree with that?
That's just editing.
That's it.
and,
Yeah.
and Jay Lucas is already the alternate, and he's one of the 5 members that live in the municipality, and he serves on the board already.
Mhm.
And don't we have to vote on? We had an interview. We had 2 candidates that put their hand up to be considered for appointment to the Board of Adjustment. One of them backed out at the last minute.
Yes.
And Reed Watson was interviewed by council and the mayor, and we had the opportunity to interview him. And I thought he was an excellent candidate.
Yeah, you didn't interview. No.
Okay, had the opportunity.
Council members, the council members interviewed him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Then y'all want to make the motion on this, and we can appoint.
I'll make
Go
a
ahead.
motion. We appoint Reed Watson to the Board of Adjustment.
I'm going to ask another question to Lisa here. Seeing that Jay Lucas is the alternate right now, once you're the alternate till you die, or is it, can the alternate position change based upon, and I guess I'll back into my question. Seeing that we've only had 5 people, wouldn't it be logical that Jay Lucas would have been a regular member? And I know that with Mr.
Regular
Jensen,
ETJ member.
yeah,
Mhm.
as opposed to an alternate.
Mhm.
But with Mr. Jensen vacating the position, that's really the position that Reed Watson was applying for.
Mhm.
So I don't know how the logistics works in that. I might suggest that Jay Lucas has served already, that he be now the regular member, and that Reed, the brand new one, serve as an alternate. That being said, there are still only 5 people. The alternate would still vote. Everything would be the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't the board itself decide that?
No.
No.
No, y'all.
We did it.
We did.
Okay.
I agree with that. It makes sense. Everybody's a part of it, just if you're changing
And there's
the
still
names.
only 5 people because
Yeah.
we don't have an ETJ representative, and we beat that bush until it's
dead.
Anybody from the ETJ that wants to join the Board of Adjustment, please.
The motion.
talk to
You had a
her.
motion on
The
the floor.
motion's on the floor, so I'm
And a
second. All right. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up will be our expiration of our ERC terms for, I guess, it's Levine and Saban. Seaman. Okay. What's the pleasure of council and for the direction?
Let's advertise.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody's on that. Lisa, do you need a motion for that, or you just need a consensus?
Just a consensus.
Okay.
Okay.
So everybody's
You
good
got
with
it.
advertising? All right, that should take care of that one. Moving on next, amend our budget meeting calendar. You all have all found out about that.
Yes.
Moving our meeting. So is everybody good with that? We do have our meeting this Friday, and then this one that was canceled will be moved to this other one. So is everybody good with that?
Yeah. One question.
All right, go ahead.
The text here says that there's normally 2 days scheduled, with the second day being optional. Do we have to identify that day that's going to be the optional day?
You can schedule it at this Friday's meeting if you think you're going to need more.
We don't need any 2-3 day.
Would you just adjourn the meeting to?
We just recess to another
recess,
day.
right.
Reset it.
Yep.
Okay, so just be a different carryover day.
Yep.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Lisa, one more thing. Is it normal at these budget meetings, is the public ever invited to speak? Or is it usually just?
Not historically, but
Okay.
But they're
But
encouraged.
you can.
You want a motion for this one?
Mhm.
Just all right.
Yes.
Pleasure of council. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we
Accept the budget.
accept the changes to the budget calendar.
All right.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Next up be our ABC board budget request.
Oh,
You want to give an update on this one, Miss England? I think most of them's read it, but
The ABC board is requesting, they have paid off their mortgage now for the building that they're in, and they are requesting to allocate $50,000 annually to a future systems expansion, be it remodeling of the store, purchase of property, building a new store, whatever they choose to do so. And it would be placed in a capital reserve or capital improvements fund, just like we all have. But since we are the appointing authority for the ABC board in Sunset Beach, it is your discretion.
Question. Will this have any impact on the funds that ABC board gives to the town? Or is this just the funds that they were using to paying off their mortgage?
These are the funds they were using to pay off the mortgage.
So it should not affect the bit that they
It
give to the
should not,
town.
but
Yeah.
if sales go up or down,
Yeah.
that would reflect.
Yeah, but we're talking 30 to 50,000 normally goes from ABC board into the general fund. Yeah.
And that wouldn't affect that. I want to make sure it could affect it, yes, but.
actually more than that goes into the fund.
It does.
Because they were making their payments every month plus giving the donations.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is just basically their payments, Lisa, correct?
Mhm,
What
correct.
they were paying, they're just asking to put that aside for
Okay.
future development.
Yeah.
I know looking forward is always very positive, but I have a hard time believing that the ABC store has to be expanded. Maybe some minor renovation, but I've been in there and I've had 3 people working at the counter and me and another guy in the store looking. And if that's crowded, I know they're looking to put more produce on the shelves probably. But again, we only can sell what the state allows us to take in. So I'm having a hard time with this.
I think from what they've told me, and me and you have been to multiple meetings with them. I think what they're basically saying is, instead of not having any money put aside in the future if they have to buy property or anything like that, just to have them a bit, because this was money that they were already paying in their facility. This doesn't take away from what they send to the town every month.
Okay.
It's basically just if they were paying, $2,000 a month, whatever their payment was, I'm sure it was more than that. They're just asking, instead of sending that to the town right now, they'd still send everything they send. If the sales goes up, they'll send the money that's extra. But it's just basically like putting that payment into future problems that they're going to encounter there instead of coming to it and need it all
Before
at
they
one
can
time.
spend that money, that I really like the idea of a capital reserve fund. I think we as a town have really abdicated that. Last year was really the first time we ever even did it, and we should be doing it for things other than fire trucks. But what the mayor's saying is the ABC board can't just all of a sudden expand. We control what they do. So, am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, if let's say they have $300,000 in that fund over the next 6 years, they can't just go spend $300,000 without us saying they can spend.
Once it's put into this fund, it has to be spent for the purpose it's intended.
But do we have control over that?
No.
No.
Who controls it?
They do.
The state.
So they have to go to the state and say, we want to expand, or we want to put this addition on, or we want to build a new building. The state has to approve that, anything they do?
Mm-hmm.
Is that, okay, yes.
That was a yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
It's a pleasure of council.
Well, Mike, what do you
Great.
think? You were really the only, I don't want to say negative question, but
Well,
because the future isn't always positive.
no, that's true. And I don't know how much they have been paying off on the building they're currently in that is now stopped. If I knew that amount, I'd feel a lot more comfortable.
But that building's worth more than $250,000.
Well, maybe, but my question being is, they're paying off $3,000 a month. Okay.
Yeah, but that's a different question.
No, because we said that money there, instead of paying off, is going into this fund. So it's not, they're linked.
Yeah, but the funds for capital improvements.
I know, but the money they would normally have paid for paying off the building, you say they're going to put into $50,000 annually. I want to know how they wait.
I can't answer that question.
I don't.
Well, if you don't want to vote on it, y'all table it.
No, I think it's a good
Or vote on
idea.
it, yeah.
I think it's a good idea to have a capital reserve fund for the ABC future.
I agree with that. I wish we had some control over what they do with it, but
I'd like to know
this is
more
the
about the
state
figures.
that has the control. So.
You would like what?
You
I'd
know,
like to
for-
know
let me-
more about the figures. I'd like to see the figures.
For years,
Yeah, but the mayor and Lisa see that when they're at their meetings.
Did they quote to me what the annual amount they paid for the?
I don't have an answer.
Oh, I'm asking them since they were at the
You
meeting.
can get an answer tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, they'll tell you exactly. Because they just paid it off.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you was holding your hand up, Cameron. I thought you knew.
Thought she had it.
for years, previous councils put off capital reserve funds. And then when you had to have a new fire truck, we had to find the money by raising taxes or just taking it out of the general fund. So I love these capital improvement programs because the town doesn't get hit with a big bill. And that last fire truck was what, $1 million?
$1 million too, but we control that. I'm kind of sympathizing on Councilman Posnell's side here that if Lisa had said to me that, yeah, we always can pull the trigger on the money that's in the capital reserve fund as to how it's spent, to see if it's appropriate. Now I see the state has that control.
And I don't mind a capital improvement fund at all. I just
Yeah,
want
but
to.
it's not worth anything if we can't control it.
Well, it's worth something to ABC, but I like to make sure the money, we're not inflating the 50,000. It's taking away from what we normally would have gotten out of.
So the question is, if we say no, they can't put that 50,000 into a capital reserve fund.
That's
Does
correct.
that mean we're telling them to put it into our general fund? And
In
can we do
essence,
that?
yeah.
And then can we move it to a fund for them somehow in our budget?
I don't think, I think,
You can't.
you can't, that's sleight of hand.
It is, but it's,
Well,
it's our control.
I
I
Yeah.
would feel comfortable if I had the figures. that's all.
Lisa, is this time sensitive?
Now, they were looking at starting in July, I believe. Mayor, do you remember? I think they said with the new budget that this would
Yeah,
go
I
into
think
effect.
it starts same time our budget starts.
So why don't we table this till
Well,
next month and find out what
Get
they're
those
using?
figures.
Be fine.
But I still think, I'm on the side of letting them do it.
Let's table it. We still got another month. They'll be fine with that.
It's good to find that out.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, that's table.
Table.
All right, next up, disposition of directives. We got the political sign public hearing scheduled for, what is our date? Is it May
May 5th.
5th?
May 5th.
May
Yeah.
5th.
And then, of course, we'll come back with this ABC budget request. We'll put that into the May the 5th meeting. Any member of council have anything else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir?
number 3, discussion on rules for yard maintenance.
Yes, sir.
I think Justin's doing a great job sending notices out. I really don't know what the follow-up is,
Okay.
but I know fines are issued. I don't see any need to continue.
You gonna just pull that off?
So just
Pull that-
remove
Pull
it.
that one off, okay.
Yeah.
And my name's associated with number 2. I know that Amy and I and Lisa are going to be working on this, but there's been other things that Amy's been involved in that are higher ranking in priorities. So
We'll
it
just
should
stay
on
on
the
for right
list.
now. Yep.
But who's coordinating or quarterbacking the obstructions within the right-of-way discussion?
Lisa?
I mean, isn't that really a parking?
No.
Not really.
Isn't Mike Hargraves really in charge of all that?
It's our,
I got enough on my plate by far. What we were doing with right-of-ways, and we've talked to people about right-of-ways in the parkings, we talked to community people and talked to citizens. But Dustin has been the one to work with the homeowners, and Dustin's the one to meet with the
Well,
homeowners.
does that need to stay on the list is really what I'm saying.
No, I don't think it does. I think, as Lisa, is that part of Dustin's work to work on the right-of-ways like that? He's been doing it. If it's part of his work, he can continue to do it. I was reporting to him when I saw right-of-way problems. I believe he was addressing them. And so.
part of the issue is we've got this right away in the ordinance, and there was concern as the parking was coming up that we were going to go through the island, and the town would, irrespective of whether it's going to be parking or not, was going to take the right of way obstructions away.
Yes.
And then part of the conversation was also, if the town's going to do that to the island, the town needs to do that to the rest of the town, not
Absolutely.
just the island. And the way the parking has evolved so far, the town has not been forcing people to take all their stuff out of the right of ways yet at this thing. So it's become a non-issue as part of the parking program. So if the town wants to, at some point, decide to go enforce right-of-ways throughout the town, then you can put it back on the schedule here. But
Does that mean we're not moving mailboxes?
That's not.
Like,
But
does that mean we're not moving mailboxes?
no, it doesn't mean we're not moving mailboxes. No, we're
Okay.
moving mailboxes.
I'd like to see a profit and loss statement on at every town council meeting regarding the parking. We don't have figures on what we've collected or what's been collected for parking. And we've got an idea what the expenses are, but I'd like to see it going forward through the season. And then,
But I would agree, but I think it's be onerous on our staff and on everybody to do it monthly. How about every 3 months or something that is a?
we're starting off now. And I'd like to see it, I agree every 3 months, once we get everything together, but we're not together. And we're not going to be together till July or August, the way things are going. Total. So I'm just saying, it's not that, she's already got most of the figures regarding expenses.
And that may be something you could put in consent agenda, Lisa, just where they'd have a printout of it after.
That
you
will
get
not
the-
be a problem.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
All right. All right, nothing else on direct. Let's go to the public comments. 3 minutes on anything you want. Let's let him first, and then I'll get you, ma'am. Yes.
3
yes, sir.
minutes.
All right, you ready to go?
I can sure tell you that what this real meeting here is about. I need a boundary line agreement, and right in the curve where the Regency is the Iredale line, and that's the original line of the D.E. Stanlin 830 acre tract. And of course, on one side of that line is Oyster Bay, which is involving Ed Gore's widow and so forth. And the reason why we do need this is because technically, we're going all the way back to Linda Flugel. We have never been annexed, even though it's been reported by, and the counties discussed this vividly with me and told me what they need. And I've been on the phone with Miss Anglin, and the truth of the matter is, if we can get that Iredale line, absolutely, the resolve there, it's going to make this township here, because my dredging and all my other abilities are going to be set intact. Because you don't know this, I have 2 common law towns out there: Sea Islands, North Carolina, little STATE, and Sea Islands, South Carolina, little STATE. That's 2 common law towns, and North Carolina, South Carolina are 2 41. There are 41, 2 of the 41 common law towns. So I'm telling you that this town here would also benefit and understand that if you consulted Mr. Frank Idler, he would tell you personally that the Golf Course Club Road over there and the Forest Drive, that road was brought a committee. Mr. Idler was on it, come down, and because it's in a 100-year floodplain, the fact of it is the road is not state roads as of this minute, but there's been probably millions of dollars been extracted out of that area and with this town, and it would cause me to have to sue my own town. I don't want to do this in federal court, and I can tell you the minimum for trespassing on our property would be $3 million, and that ain't the half of it. If they absolutely ask y'all to come to a forensic audit for every penny, for all the way back when Linda Flugel was involved, and when she come, and you remember, you heard me, and I'm about ready to close just about right now. You heard me tell you that Linda Flugel come and put in the newspapers, we're out of the water and sewer business. We're out of the electric business. Folks, I don't know whether y'all know this or not, but Dan Stanley knows what the definition is for a municipality to be involved. By the way, I don't see your attorney here tonight, but I can tell you the last time I addressed this board, your attorney stated that that the board had tabled this, and he was speaking right over there from right over there, and stated, okay, in closing, stating that you people had enough other interest in property past the main highway. So I need a resolution for the Iredale line for a boundary to give to the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's about it. I've got
Thank you.
I'll provide this to Miss Lisa. My general she's a PhD.
Write it up to her, send it to her, and I'll make sure she follows up.
This lady's a PhD in business administration. She's over my project.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Be
you.
safe.
It's an honor and pleasure to address you. Thank you, Miss Lisa. And Mr. Nern, I remember him, and I remember Mr. Larkin.
I met you
I definitely know them guys.
I met you 20 years ago when I moved into here.
Thank you. Chief, will you help him get out right there, please, sir? Who's next? Go ahead, ma'am.
He's been telling the same story.
Wait 1 second. Let it get quiet.
Everybody probably thought that the most awkward part of this meeting,
if you will, just
Eleonora
yeah, thank you.
Kirpichnikova, 1023 Sophie's Drive, Sunset Beach.
Thank you.
So everybody probably thought that the most awkward part of this meeting was when Mr. Corbett went to the bathroom and forgot to turn off his microphone. For me, all this meeting was awkward, and that part was just, a little piece. When Mr. Larkin wasn't even sure what were the utility vehicles are, and he doesn't even know what they are. I'm really disturbed by this fact. Gentlemen, you need to do your homework. As a teacher, I'm telling you, you have to gather the facts, gather statistics, analyze everything, and only then come to this meeting and discuss it. It looked like a book club discussion. It was not like a professional discussion of people who know the facts. Only one person in the room actually knew what he was talking about. And that was, thank you, officer. He knew exactly what were the problematic things and tried to advise you. Anyway, please, gentlemen, do your homework. You failed today.
Thank you. Who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Carol Kissel, 1407 North Shore Drive, Sunset Beach. I just wanted to make 2 points that I didn't make earlier. And as you consider suspending the parking program, I actually want you to consider suspending that. And as you consider making a more comprehensive plan, I'm not totally against paid parking. I'm very against on how you've done it. You've actually eliminated the access to the beach. When I looked at your RFP for this program, it said promoting safety and pedestrian safety. And then the rest of the bullets on the goals were all about operational, parking regulations and compliance. Guys, those are not strategic goals that suit our community. So you have to really dig deep to figure out what the strategic goals are for a parking program and do it right. I urge you to do that. My other comment I would like to make is, as you consider a comprehensive program, please consider bike lanes, or you have bike lanes, please consider bike parking racks. There's no bike parking racks anywhere on the East End. And if you're now taking parking away, you can't even ride a bike there. You have to ride a bike like I did the other day and then dump it on the side of the street, which is probably not right. I might get a ticket from the chief. So, I don't want to do that, but give me a break and think about it. So that's my other 2 comments, and thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
There we go.
Hey, Bob.
Yes, sir.
Bob Tone, 9030 C Lane. First thing, did I hear correctly that the new parking that we have down by by Dave's and the park, that we are now going to be asking Dustin and the fire chief to figure out how to get a fire truck down to the end of it? That wasn't in the engineering of all of that. To me, that
They have
just
to move a
seems like.
sign, but that's
Excuse
okay.
me?
They have to move a sign, yes.
Okay, but it's still, they cannot get a fire truck down there. They have to figure out a way to get the fire truck down there, which just seems like is totally unacceptable, right? That should have been in the plans. Another thing I heard here tonight about right-of-ways, if we decide to enforce the right-of-way issues. Just the other day, or Saturday, I drove down from around the town and everything. There was 40 signs that were in the right-of-way that were illegal, signs that are in the other. I do know that Dreamscapes, I think, which is doing the Palms and another development, that they come in on Friday night and place about 30 signs all around with arrows pointing to their directions there. And then Sunday, they come back and pick them up. So I don't know, maybe we want to make this DUDO where it's only, we only enforce it Monday through Friday or whatever. But this is what they're doing. Okay.
Thank you.
And the last thing is, it was nice to see a couple of the council people here disagree with the rest of everybody, because I've been coming here or watching these meetings for about the last 6 months, and everything seems to be unanimous. I mean, it's like there's one, alpha dog, and then the rest of the pack just follows along. So that's what I got to say. Thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hey there.
3.5 minutes.
Nope, 3 is good.
She was on the parking committee, so she gets an extra half a minute.
I'm Tracy Hopgood, and my husband and I, John, co-own the Sunset Beach Trading Company. want to talk to you tonight about the commercial parking. I'm going to ask you to raise the fine. $50 is not sufficient. Let me tell you, people are very happy to pay $50 all day long. There is no reason for them to move their car if they can have a parking space for $50. On a 4-day holiday, that will be occupied by the same car all day long. And that wasn't the intent. I don't think you guys appreciate the need that businesses have for customers to be able to actually get to them and be able to come in and support us. We would, especially given current economic times, would really like those that can patronize us be able to. Also, another thing, we have already seen this. What are we to do when people go into the commercial parking space, take out their beach chairs, walk right to the beach? I am just interested in advice because it's already an issue and something that we've seen. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Tracy.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Sullivan. I live at 340 Sea Trail Drive East. I've been a little bit out of touch with what's going on in the community. I have a place up north, and I've been up north, so I've sort of lost track of the parking issue. But this was an astonishing evening. I got the feeling that this board is already got the Titanic sailing, and you're spending your time worrying about how you're going to get those few lifeboats for the people that are on the island and those precious few who can find a parking place. I'm like the guy on deck playing the violin as the ship is sinking. I would like to be able to go to the beach, and I don't want to have to walk there. And I represent maybe 1/3 of, I'll take that back, maybe 2/3 of the population of Sunset Beach. And I think it's a little silly for us to spend all this time talking about those few parking places that you've come up with, and you haven't spent any time talking about how I and people like me can get to the beach. So have you got a courier going to give us taxi cabs? How are you going to pay for the cabs or the buses to get us out there and to get us back? So if you would take an inordinate amount of time, because obviously this was a little bit extended just talking about the few parking places that you've allotted. You need to come up with a program to get the other 2/3 of the population of this town out to the beach. And that's my statement.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
You only got a minute and a half now.
Yeah, John Hopkins, Sunset Beach Trading Company. First off, I think all y'all know I like every single one of you as a person. I might not like what decisions you make depending on the topic. I long for the days of the wind-driven devices versus parking, because this has been all-consuming at the most busy time of the year for our business. I've spent this tonight is a fraction of the time that I've spent in the last 7 days talking to people in front of our business instead of being inside working to get ready to open our business, explaining the parking rules or explaining or answering why this and not that or yada, yada, yada. May or June of 2022 is when this whole thing was first floated. We made Facebook posts about it. Hargraves and Nern met with the business owners of the island in January of 2023 in the room next door. Said at that time that nothing would be done to hurt our business, our employees, or our customers. I said at that time that's a big promise to be making at the beginning of a project like this. I know that's not the intent of anyone, but the reality is that it is going to impact our business this year. I have to wait and see. We have to wait and see how it is. Maybe we'll be surprised. I'm not sure. There are issues that I'm trying to scroll down my notes. There are issues that, like I said, we're going to spend the entire time talking about this issue, and then come Saturday afternoon, it's a whole new batch of people to talk about this issue with, and next Saturday will be a whole new batch of people to talk, and on and on and on every single day. I don't want to call 911 because the streetscape parking is totally blocked on a beautiful weekend, but I feel like that's what the town has told me that I need to do in order to get a hold of our police department. I just think there's things such as I said earlier about the Fifth Street. I don't think people are thinking things all the way through. Of course, that's my opinion. You say that 200 feet northward of North Shore is no big deal because people can't park there. If you have a golf cart, I guess you can park there. Parallel parking, you won't be in the road. You won't be in the rocks. You won't be in the marsh. Will we have a two-side road lined with LSVs? I don't know the answer to that. But anyway, I just wish that we had taken a year to mark all the parking that we have or find the parking that we have and then do the paid parking next year if that's the direction. Otto Surfcast made that suggestion a month, 2 months ago. I don't remember. He said, if you want to take the time and think about it, we can start next year. But like Posel said the other day, if we rush, we're going to make mistakes. I feel like we've been rushing, but that's just one opinion. But thank y'all. Have an awesome evening.
Thank you, John.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Evgen Pivovarov. I'm 1023 Soulfish Drive, Sunset Beach. Thank you for your time. Thank you for Mr. Larkin for small conversation before this meeting. Now I realize what is happening. Basically, I heard a lot of yes, no's, and other things. Just want to say I'm totally against the parking which you have implemented here. And unfortunately, I can say that you have implemented that really badly without great planning. And some of us and some of you professional engineers, and I can tell you from the engineering standpoint that the planning which you have implemented is really, really bad. Ought to start to collect the money right away, and parking is not guaranteed, even for the local people. That is terrible implementation. You need to reconsider that, and I really appreciate if you're going to do that. Please think out of the box. You have multiple solutions, a lot of new technologies, a lot of things which you have to consider, but please keep us a small, nice town. We have moved here just because of that, and we definitely wanted to stay this way. We don't want to overcrowd of the cars, and we completely understand that. But please reconsider that paid parking. That is really important for the local people who moved here and who is trying to support this town as much as possible. If you are out of money or if you need some budget or something, stick one small sign right in front of the beach. People, give the donation. You're going to get so much money, tremendous amount of budget. I guarantee you that. I would be the first person who donate on that. But remove, or at least just try to allocate those parking spots like you mentioned within the right place, so all fire trucks, all of the in-and-one guys would be able to do their job. And I absolutely agree for the safety is number one. Totally agree with that. But you need to just realize that for us, for the local people, it is extremely important to come to the ocean at any desired time. And if, let's say, if my wife is working as a teacher, she simply cannot pay this amount of money for the parking for the 1 hour and couldn't find this simple spot. That is really hurting us. I don't know what to say more. I just really appreciate for all of your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. I'll get you next, ma'am. Okay. Yes,
Hi, my name's Susan Bridges. I live at 595 Coach Trail in Sunset Beach, and I didn't come prepared to speak, but I've been sitting through the whole meeting, and those of you that know me know I can't keep my mouth shut. So many people have had such great ideas about what we should do or what we should think about? Where were they for years and years and years when we were having parking studies, when we had a parking commission, when you were begging for people to come and share your idea? I mean, you would have been so very informative. You were there and they didn't listen.
Can you please address us?
Okay, the one thing that I don't think anybody's talked about, and I've never been involved with parking because it's not my issue. I got plenty of places to park on the island. So, the point is, what do y'all think it would be like if we did not have paid parking? We are the only beach, and as again someone here mentioned tonight, we're probably the only place in the United States where there's not paid parking. If we are the only beach here that does not have paid parking, do you know what our streets and our parking spaces are going to look like? Everybody from 50 miles around is going to want to come here and park. I mean, if the residents can't find a place to park now, where do they think they're going to park then?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Susan.
All right, Miss, I think you had asked next. Go ahead,
Christy. Hi.
Hey, Christy Batchelor, 428 27th Street. Regarding the no overnight parking, I know that was discussed, but unfortunately, some of us in the audience, even sitting here, it was not very clear to us. I know it was the 12 to 4 time period, but is that for lots or is that for row and designated parking? It was never clarified what y'all decided on that topic, what y'all voted on to pass. So that's the first thing. And the other thing was the row parking and driveways, like for people on the island. If you, let's say you have normally 5 spots, but like 2 on this side, 2 on this side, and 1 here is how it's all, let's say how your property's been. Now with the way the driveways come to the road, you always could park as long as you were in your driveway and not in the road and not where there's parking. But now Otto is telling us they're going to write us tickets being there. I know like my family's coming in Easter and that's where my kids park, my parents park, you know, in my own property. We're not causing a problem with anybody. There's no utility work going on. There's no paid parking there right now. But to me, if we can't park there, if we're going to get tickets every day during Easter, we've got to find somewhere to park. We're, you know, even living on the island when I normally have plenty of parking. And I'm just speaking from my lot, but I've had this week like 8 people that live on the island call me. They about gave me a ticket in my own driveway. Now, some were parking in the front that's considered parallel, but it's in a spot that's been gravelled off and they've parked there for 20, 30 years. You know what I mean? So I think we even living on the island, we're not expecting that to happen on the side streets where there's no designated parking. It's not Main Street, but I do feel like this summer, especially with rentals, it's going to be a huge problem with people not. Now, 2 of the rental agencies on the island have parking spots for their overflow. People can park there, Sunset Vacations and Sunset Realty. But for other people or even just homeowners, you know, I do think it's going to be an issue with parking or everybody's going to have to tell everybody don't drive at so many cars. But, you know, everybody's used to rentals and homeowners. So I know as a homeowner that's been following this parking very closely, as y'all know, y'all know that. I was shocked that Otto was giving tickets on the side streets when people were not out in the road at all. They were, you know, they might be a little bit in the right of way, but they clearly were. And, you know, to me, the right of way, from what I know, varies by property. And you almost have to look at the darn surveys because some of where the utilities are and stuff, it doesn't always jive when you go out and measure it. So the other thing is safety on 40th and Main, down at the end where the parking lot is now. To me, that is such a safety issue. When I'm driving down Main Street to 40th, like most everybody does, and when they come to vacation, you're used to turning around there. You're basically running into parking spots. If you keep going, you got to turn over. And then my little car, I can't even turn around without doing like a 5-point road turn. And that's when there's a parking space to pull into. So I would ask you again with safety, consider that. And the 30 feet to 15 feet on the corner getting out, that's just going to make it worse with safety when there is parking back on Main. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, not. No member of council has anything else? I think everybody's spoken. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I was gonna.